Well, hello. Happy Friday and good evening. I'm so glad to see all of you. It is Friday, October 2nd. No, it's not. It's not October 2nd. It is Friday, October 24th, 2025. October 2nd. What was going through my mind? No, it's October 24th, 20. It is, right? 2025. Yes. I don't know what year it is, much less what month it is or day. Who knows? Anyways, yeah, I see the betting pool was going on as to when it was going to be starting. I have a very legitimate excuse for why we started late this evening, as opposed to every other excuse that I've always got. Y'all see the computer back behind me? You probably don't, but by the little purple light over there, that is one of the workstations for the mini mischiefs, and they can design and do stuff on the 3D printer. And that workstation was occupied. It was occupied by one of the minis who was asking me 9 million different questions about whether or not we could print A, B, C, D. I think we made it down to like double Z in terms of the questions being asked. Okay, we're good. How you guys doing? It was the week, wasn't it? How we feeling? It was a good week for everybody involved. Did you guys place your bets on? I don't want to encourage wagering, not on this channel, especially if you're wagering sums of money on the over under on when my start time is, because you don't know. I might be placing wagers on that myself and controlling the under. Although I think betting the under, probably not the smartest move when it comes to me. I think Vegas would probably put the over under on my start time at about 6.5 minutes after the hour has commenced. That would be the Vegas odds. But, I don't know. I might just cheat the game. Cheat the game. So we've got an interesting show this evening. One development that occurred today, and then another development that was kind of yesterday. I wanted to take a closer look at the NBA / mob boss / mafia. I don't know what to call this. All I know is that whatever the FBI called it was only law enforcement could come up with descriptions like that. It's just not possible. We can get to that at some point in time. But everyone else, how was your week? How's it going? Tumwater Troy, ta-da! Remember 14 months. Thank you very much. So it's been rather odd. 9:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was right on the number, pretty much. Mischief Manager might be controlling the entire over-under. Who can say? I don't know. Under is a losing bet, no matter where you bet. Especially if Derek Rozier is on the team that you're betting either for or against. So we've got a lot to go over with all of this one. Camellia, happy y'all. Hi y'all. Happy Friday. I'll be turning 32 next Wednesday. Happy 32nd birthday. Happy 32nd birthday. We've got people from North Texas in town. We've got other people. Brenda Plunkett, I know that you intended to write sparkle farts. I don't know what the scarlet farts might be, but it's pretty wild. Let's see, getting caught up on everything. Nice NBA tie-in. I did. I was wagering my sanity on some of the things. We shall see. Excuse me, checking in live tonight. Happy Friday, member for 35 months. Thanks for being a member for 35 months. Glad to see you. Happy Friday as well to you. Hope everyone's week went great. Lady Drake coming in early and saying, praying for my research defense proposal on Tuesday for my PhD. Well, we're all rooting for you. We're all rooting for you. You'll do great and you'll get the PhD in no time. Let's see. AG, my father-in-law is still in the hospital after alcohol withdrawal. Oh no, seizures, rough week with CR school stuff. Could use some encouragement and reminder of how important court reporters are. Putting practice in. Court reporters are amazing. They're wonderful. I usually put them to very, very, very good work, especially because my tendency at the beginning of every trial and beginning of every hearing is to talk very, very, very fast until I calm down. I catch myself talking very fast, and then I look at the court reporter who's generally scowling at me, and I consciously slow myself down. I try to until I get to my rebuttal closing or my rebuttal argument, the judge says, Mr. Morton, you have 1.5 minutes. And I get up and I say, I'm going to make those count. Flying through all things again. I'm sorry you're going through a rough week. Hopefully we'll cheer you up a little bit. I'm not sure the Proctor stuff's going to cheer you up very much. Maybe the Mission Impossible style gadgets that we'll discuss during some of the FBI or this indictment thing. It's gonna be pretty wild. I didn't realize that gambling had gotten to the stakes of, having, I guess, contact lenses. They were specifically designed to read cards. I don't know. We're going to learn some stuff today. I don't know that we should learn those things, but we're going to try. Chris and M96, because I was working on my contribution this week, will be able to have anything for the auction this year. I know the shop isn't up to speed. The shop is not up to speed, but I did get a 3D printer. I've had a 3D printer, but I've got both 3D printers up and running at full steam ahead. We're doing very well in that regard. So I should be able to get at least 1 or 2 things printed. Hopefully. I've got to figure out how I can design something, because I don't want to print something that's just a general profile. I want to actually have something designed that I can print and send out. So I will be doing my best at that. I know that Ian has set the date and time for his charity stream. I know that some of you, let's see, let me go ahead and make sure I've got that date and time so that I can announce that, because I think that he has as well. Big charity fundraising stream is on November 15th. November 15th is when Ian will do his Extra Life 24-hour live stream for charity. So keep your calendars marked for that. Please, please, please. DSN says, thanks. Thank you. You've been a member for 29 months. And House Bath Company, hoping to have good sales with the market tomorrow. You will have wonderful sales. As a procurer of your products, or as a donee of your products, I will say that they actually, if you have the opportunity to go and order a couple of her candles, they're really, really, really good. DSN, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. And Vez, Dr. Vez from Quebec, 37 months. Wow. Hey, Rob and chat. Hello, Vez. Good to see you. I think we are playing catch up, or we must be a little caught up. Someone's seeing that there was a haircut. There was a couple of hairs cut. See what I did there? That's a dad joke that is horrible. I apologize for absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. Sean Diddle, can we bet on the NBA story placement? y'all can bet on whatever you want. No, wait, I take that back. Nope, not. Don't gamble or wager on anything. It is bad. Very, very bad. Do not do those things. Unless, I don't know. There's no unless there. I'm not sure there's an unless there. So, but what I was going to be able to share. So I did mention that, let's see. The 3D, I have the 3D printer set up at the, those of you wondering what my office looks like outside of the office door, let me see if I can't share it with you. I'd wanted to show this a while back. I don't know why I didn't. Wagering for charity, that's a very good one as well. Evie, Rob finally learning to be careful with permission he gives the chat. I am trying to. We are early enough in the evening that we're going to be able to do that. I think, relatively speaking, I'm not positive about anything right now. I wish I was. But for some reason, my brain is doing brain things. Not the smart brain things, the less smart brain things. But what I was trying to do was share this. So even though I haven't been able to make things in the shop, I have been able to kind of take the shop to the workplace. So what you guys are seeing, that is just outside of my office door. That's the core one that's set up with the little multi-board in the background. It's a lot of fun. It's really the only thing I've been able to make, because it's work. Step outside of my office, walk around the corner, tinker, back into the office, work. Outside, tinker, work. All kinds of stuff. So my caseload, I don't know what happened I don't know what happened this fall where every single person somehow had a a need for a lawyer because I've got a caseload that's just remarkably difficult to manage. Looks like a Lego shop. Not necessarily, but it does the trick. It feeds 5 spools and various color changing. It's only a little bit of tinkering, guaranteed. Let's see. Okay. That's where I get to tinker when I'm not otherwise predisposed, yelling at people. The kids now think that I argue for a living. So the questions I'm now getting when I get home are, did you win all of your arguments today? It's pretty cool. Yes, I did win all of my arguments today. Well, not all of them, most of them. So let's see. Some people are throwing questions in. Yes, that is a 3D printer. It is a 3D printer. I have 2 3D printers. There's a 3D printer behind here. It is the home 3D printer. It is set up to this computer, and other computers, but this is the one that the kids love to play on. And then I have the 3D printer that is there. That is the office setup, like the actual office setup. And it is right outside of my actual office door. And I get to tinker a little bit at the office. So the Bamboo X1C is right behind me. I do love the multi-board background. It's a lot of fun. It is. I don't like when my face is that giant. We're going to shrink it up a little bit. Okay. So let me see. Oh, that's right. I have 3 3D printers. I take that back. I did buy one last time I was out of. Yeah, last time I traveled, I bought a 3D printer, but it was a tiny 3D printer. That's the excuse I'm going with. I'm not going with it. I'm sticking with it. It doesn't count. It's not in the house full time. It's remote. So, yeah, that's the logic I'm sticking with. I don't know if I showed you guys what was created by minis when they do their 3D designs. I can show that because you know what? Why not? Fun. That was designed by Mini Mischief 2. Like solo or not, like it was a little Pokemon or it was a little Pikachu. And he did all the coloring himself, colored all the different filaments. There was so much waste because there was nothing uniform. It is a little bit terrifying, just the placement of the eyeballs and the little whites of the eyes that are kind of inverse from what you would expect. But I was very proud because it was done all by himself. Yep, pretty good. Pretty good. So, like I said, 2 topics on the agenda this evening. And those 2 topics have nothing to do with one another. Can you 3D print the swoop? Ooh, I don't know if I can do that. Huh. I don't know if I can do that. I can try. I might be able to try and render that and model that. That's a good idea. We shall see. No, I do not remelt and mold the printer poop. Nope. Nope. You can be proud of cursed things, and that is a source of pride. I'm proud of, well, the mischief creating that is very good. Yeah, the third one, you guys called me out on that one. All right, let's do this. We've got a couple of things to get to this evening, and I've decided the topic that we're going to cover first. Well, I don't know. What do you guys want to do? Should I put a poll up and you guys want to vote on what we cover first? I did have stumbled across something that I'm debating whether or not to read out loud. It was a post that I think might be a repeat post of something else, but it made me laugh my ass off. That might have been a poor choice of words given the post itself, but we can get to that as a little break. A respite, will you? Might you say a respite from the drag and drog of the various things that we need to cover. Okay. So here's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the NBA mafia. I don't know what else to call it. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to swoop to that. And then we're going to figure out what is going on with this case. Because it is absolutely fascinating. I don't know that it warranted like a full-on press conference because the timing was kind of interesting. But let's go ahead and do that. We're going to swoop to that. We're going to go through stuff pretty quick tonight. Ian is traveling this evening. So no, I'm not planning on Ian being here this evening. We knew that ahead of time. Oh, the nose just tickled. Hang on. That was uncomfortable. That was really uncomfortable. Okay. That's better. That's a lot better, I think. Okay. Why is this so bright in my face? It is all so bright. Okay. So as the lead in to all of this, we are going to watch a bit of the press conference while I pull out the other materials that we're going to need to rely on. There we go. The press conference, and then we shall swoop to the press conference. That was a terrible accent. I don't even know what that was. We'll just... You know what? Some of these op-eds on the NBA story is just pretty funny, so we might have to read a couple of these. ADHD. Stop ADHDing. I need to be able to focus. I really would like to focus. Wow. Everyone and their uncle and their mother wrote an article about the FBI and the betting and all of the things. So, wow. There's like 9 million articles to choose from. Very interestingly timed NBC Universal article. Okay. Sorry. Swoop. Sorry. Need to focus. We're going to swoop. And swoop. Okay. So I'm going to filter through the articles, but while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and watch a bit of this press conference where we have a very lengthy press conference for something that I don't really think needed to be that lengthy at this point in time. But we're just going to listen to that a little bit.
In addition, we have with us today FBI Director Kash Patel, FBI Assistant Director in Charge Christopher Rea of the New York Field Office, Special Agent in Charge of the New York Field Office Leslie Bakshies, New York Special Agent in Charge of Homeland Security.
That was a very interesting last name that I was very confused about when it was said. I didn't know if it was said like Bakshies. That was just a me thing in my brain. I apologize for the brain intrusive thoughts.
Ricky Patel, Newark Special Agent in Charge of Homeland Security, Michael McCarty, Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenny, and the Executive Director of the Waterfront Commission, Phoebe Sorrell. I'm now going to turn the podium over to FBI Director Kash Patel.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Casa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent...
Let me tell you, if you're leading into a press conference, like, wait, well, you guys can't hear it? You should be able to hear it. Sorry, hang on. I boosted the thing 600%. Hang on. Closed captions. There, closed captions. Of all the things that I expected to hear during a press conference, the NBA and La Casa Nostra, not necessarily where I thought it would go. Let's see, I'm up to 600%. Maybe if I turn myself down, it will automatically adjust.
And a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any purpose.
Hang on, I might have found something that's a little bit louder, so we're going to try this.
That brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation. And we could not have done it without our interagency partners that are before us today. The NYPD, HSI, and teams of law enforcement officials from around the country made this day possible. It takes a team to bring this kind of justice, sweeping justice, into the halls of the United States courtrooms, where our brave United States attorney has led this prosecution. It takes courageous prosecutors to stand before you and say, we will not allow this kind of illicit activity to happen, not only at the national sporting level, but also where it hides in La Casa Nostra. And when these two collided together, they perpetrated a fraud that is historic in terms of not just money, but the scheme and the deceit that they utilize to steal and swindle people for money, to include crypto fraud. This is an operation that showcases to you that under President Trump's administration, there is no room for any type of criminal behavior, be it on the world's largest stage or in the back rooms of tiny parlors where card games are being played. We are proud to stand here today with the men and women of the FBI and this legal team. And to the United States Attorney, I just want to thank you personally for taking the time to display the work that the media is about to hear about today in detail. As I said, it does take courageous prosecutors, but it takes a courageous United States attorney to bring this case, because we are going to take heat for it. But we don't shy away in this administration.
They're going to take a ton of heat for it. Everyone's going to take a ton of heat for it. The entire internet is exploding over this particular topic. Every single person has come out of the woodwork with an opinion in one direction or the other, or 6 ways from Sundays. This is pretty wild. People are blaming the gambling. People are blaming the Supreme Court. People are blaming administrations. This one, past one, other ones. Everyone's getting their fair share of blame on this one. And we just have an indictment. That's all we have. So, yeah, everybody.
We don't say no. What we do is we bring the results across the finish line. We bring them to the public. We bring you accountability. And yes, they will have their day in court, and you will hear the evidence through the court system exclusively. We will not deny anyone of due process. And that's the brilliance of this system. That's the brilliance of this administration. Everyone will be held to account. So with that, I turn it over to United States Attorney Nosella. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Patel. To be clear, we're announcing today indictments in 2 major cases, both involving fraud. One involves sports betting, and the other involves illegal gambling, very specifically rigged poker games. The first indictment involves 6 defendants who are alleged to have participated in one of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized.
I don't know if I would go with one of the most brazen. I would say that ever since there's been betting on sports, there's been people rigging betting on sports. I'm just saying that. Now, based on some of the things in the indictment, apparently they were pretty cocky about it.
In the United States. This scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about National Basketball Association athletes and teams. The second indictment involves 31 defendants alleged to have participated in a nationwide scheme to rig illegal poker games. These defendants, which include former professional athletes, used high-tech cheating technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in underground poker games that were secretly fixed. The games in the New York area were backed by the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families of La Cosa Nostra. While the cases are separate, there are 3 overlapping defendants charged in both cases: Damon Jones, Eric Ernest, and Shane Hennon. The indictments in these cases contain only allegations, and the defendants are presumed innocent until they are proven guilty in a court of law. But my message to the defendants who've been rounded up today is this: your winning streak has ended. Your luck has run out. Violating the law is a losing proposition, and you can bet on that.
The cringe heard round the world. I don't know if it sounded good, like when he was in the bathroom saying it in the mirror. I don't know when that sounds good. Really? Seriously though? Like that, of all the options that you had available to you, all the options, I mean, the puns are just nonstop. You just, I guess we'll let the chips fall where they do. Oh, it was so bad. I have to listen to it again. It is so cringeworthy. It's got to be the worst. Oh,
Streak has ended. Your luck has
no.
is this. Your winning streak has ended. Your luck has run out. Violating the law is a losing proposition, and you can bet on that. First,
it was worse the second time because I watched his face when he was saying it. That was painful. Okay. All right. I will give you so much. Just when you bring it across the finish line, that's when you can say that kind of stuff. That's pretty bad.
First, I would like to talk about United States versus Ernest, the NBA basketball gambling case. The defendants in this case are Eric Ernest, Marvez Farley, Shane Hennon, De Niro Laster, Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach, and Terry Rozier, a current NBA player. Other co-conspirators were previously charged for their roles in the scheme, including former NBA player Jonte Porter. Between December 2022 and March 2024, these defendants perpetrated a scheme to defraud by betting on inside, non-public information about NBA athletes and teams. The non-public information included when specific players would be sitting out future games, or when they would pull themselves out early for purported injuries or illnesses. They relied on corrupt individuals, including Jones and Rozier. They also misused information obtained through long-standing friendships that they had with NBA players and coaches. And in at least one instance, they got their information by threatening a current player, Porter, because of his pre-existing gambling debts. Defendants used this non-public information to place hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraudulent bets, mostly in the form of prop bets on individual player performance. The bets were placed through online sports books and also in person at casinos. The defendants relied on a network of straw bettors to place the maximum amount of bets to increase their potential profits. Most of these bets succeeded, and the intended losses were in the millions of dollars. The defendants then laundered their illegal winnings in various ways: peer-to-peer platforms, bank wires, and simple cash exchanges. The indictment details specific examples where the defendants profited from illegal gambling and illegal betting on various NBA games about the performance of players on, among other things, the Charlotte Hornets, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Toronto Rangers. Each defendant in the NBA basketball gambling case has been charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Now, I would like to turn to the other case, United States versus Aiello, the rigged poker game case. Beginning as early.
Okay, so while he's doing that, apparently the New York Post, let me share this real quick. The New York Post is said to have found one of the games in question that ends up being at the center of this dispute. So let's take a look at an article, or actually let's take a look at the press release. Or we want to do the actual indictment. Let me see. Do I want to do the press release or the indictment? The indictment is 28 pages. Let's see. Let's go with this. No, Gwendolyn, it's actually very, very different than that. And it's like very, very different than that. So let's go off of the actual indictment. Let's take a look at what the indictment says, and then maybe we'll get some additional information. So let's see. Now, we haven't gotten there yet, but because law enforcement is always going to be about as cheesy as you could ever imagine, and I mean, like, holy crap, the FBI operation, as you can see from the title of this PDF, the FBI operation that resulted in this takedown was called Nothing But Bet. Not Nothing But Net. It was Nothing But Bet. That's just, you know what? It's so bad. It's worse like when you say it. Just terrible. I don't know that there's a redeeming way of saying that out loud. It just doesn't work. Hang on, let me fix this. There we go. That's better. See, I have my other stuff saved. Look, you can see the tabbies. I've got other things saved. Yes, Operation Nothing But Bet. Operation Nothing But Bet resulted in the takedown of these various high-profile individuals. And we will begin. So you can see, we'll go to the top. And this was the indictment that was unsealed. Eastern District of New York. And the defendants, Eric Ernest, Mars Fairley, Shane Hennon, Damon Jones, De Niro Laster, and Terry Rozier. Scary Terry and Chum. I didn't know it was Chum. The grand jury charges goes through the defendants. President Missouri. Sports Better on Instagram. Then you have Damon Jones, NBA player from 99 to 2009 and coach from 2016 to 2018. Nero Laster, Terry Rozier, 2023 Hornets. So 2022 to 2023 played for the Hornets. Then more recently of the Miami Heat, I believe. The actual indictment goes on to describe the NBA. I don't know why the indictment refers to the NBA in the past tense, though. That was kind of odd to me. The NBA was a professional basketball league in North America. But sure, why not? We have some betting going on. Teams were required. So the NBA teams are required to report to the NBA information concerning player injuries, illnesses, and the rest for all NBA games. So basically, a part and parcel to the contract each of the teams had with the NBA, they're required to disclose to NBA or to NBA as a whole, the player status. So you can't really hide an injury report. You're required to have certain disclosures to the NBA of a player's status, whether they be available, probable, questionable, doubtful, or out. So that's kind of step one, and you can kind of see it opening into where we might have some issues here. Then we've got some online sports books that we have authorized in various states. And then we've got some other relevant individuals who are listed out more specifically, co-conspirators all the way around. You have co-conspirator 8, who is, this is the Portland coach, right? I think so. Background on sports betting. In or about 1992, following several high-profile sports betting scandals, the U.S. Congress passed the Federal Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, PASPA, which banned all but 4 states from sponsoring, authorizing, operating, or regulating sports wagering. The 4 accepted states, Nevada, Oregon, Delaware, and Montana, had existing sports wagering regimes that PASPA grandfathered in. In or about 2018, following years of litigation between the state of New Jersey, which desired to legalize sports betting in several major American professional and college sports leagues, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down PASPA as unconstitutional. In the ensuing years, sports betting, and particularly online sports betting, became legal in dozens of states. Betting companies operated online mobile applications, branded retail sportsbooks, and various casinos nationwide, or both. We can actually increase the size of this. Look at this. We can go larger. Fit to width. Ooh, look at that. Wonderful. Let's see. Wagers made at retail sportsbook were made pursuant to sportsbook's house rules. Among other things, the terms of use and house rules generally prohibited users from wagering in connection with sporting contests when the wagers were based on the users had access to pre-release confidential information or other non-public information. So the sportsbook's policies said if you have insider information, you cannot bet. Despite the recent widespread legalization of sports betting, unlicensed bookmakers or bookies also offered sports betting services to bettors. I have a case involving a very frequent bettor with a lot of sports books. I learned various things about this. Like, I've got a case right now. Oh, maybe I'll do that later. No, I'm still in discovery in that one. I don't want to reveal all that stuff. It's very interesting. I didn't understand why people would utilize private individual bookies when you had online betting platforms available to you, like FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever you might say. Like those platforms are out there. You can wager on all kinds of stuff. And I was looking through, there's various cases. Well, I'll see expenses like at MGM, or I'll see expenses at a casino. And then I will look at, and I'll see DraftKings or FanDuel, but then I'll see these little Venmos or Cash Apps to various individuals who are bookies. Why? Come to find out, there's certain limits and certain side bets that people won't carry. These books won't carry. So for individuals who want more action, or they want to bet on different things, or for example, they don't have the actual cash funds available to them to bet, they want to bet on credit, they will go with bookies. Pretty interesting things to learn. And I think I've seen a lot of stuff in my career, but the gambling as a addiction is really awful to run across. Really, really terrible. Bookies frequently accepted bets on bespoke betting websites that allowed users to place various types of wagers on sporting contests based on publicly available betting lines. Unlike legal sports books, bookies typically settled up the bettor's wages, receive payment from and or to paid bettors in connection with the wagers offline, generally through cash, peer-to-peer payments, or cryptocurrency transactions. A proposition, cringe. Yes, losing proposition was part of the press conference. Proposition or prop bet was a bet made regarding the occurrence or non-occurrence during the game of an event not directly affecting the game's outcome. For example, how long is the national anthem going to be for the Super Bowl? It's a very common wager, probably one of the most popular wagers, and Vegas is pretty good on setting the over-under odds, depending on who the announced singer is. That's a prop bet, for example. In this case, in the indictment, going back to this, for example, a bettor might wager that a particular player would score more, referring to as betting the over, or fewer, referred to as betting the under, points than a certain number of points designated by the betting operator for a given game. Y'all are going to learn some betting stuff. There's the line, which is what the odds are set at. It's kind of what the neutral 50-50, 50% odds of one, 50% odds of the other. That's the line. The over is if they go over that line. The under is if they go under that line. Oh my gosh. Prop bets took many forms. For example, a bettor could place prop bets on the points, rebounds, assists, minutes played, and or three-pointers made by individual NBA players. Who's betting the minutes played? Like, I can see someone betting how many points a player might have, rebounds or assists, but who's betting how many minutes a player is going to play? That sounds like just, if you are placing a bet on that, I think you might have a problem. Or you just are doing it for the fun of it. I don't know. That sounds kind of odd to me. A money line bet was a bet placed on the game's outcome, which team would win or lose the game. Relatedly, a point spread. Wow, you really got to dumb these things down, don't you? A point spread or a spread bet was a bet placed on the margin of victory or defeat in a given game. Oh my gosh, we're going to get a whole betting terminology list. Everything here, all of it. There we go. A parlay bet was a bet that was comprised of two or more individual bets as opposed to a single or straight bet, which was comprised of one individual bet. For a bettor to win a parlay, they had to win each of their bets in order to be successful. Betting line is a number set by the odds maker to represent the expected outcome of a particular event. The context of a prop bet, I just said that. That's essentially the odd makers saying that the over-under on the national anthem is going to be 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Or a player is going to make 20 points in a game, or a player is going to play 6 minutes. Again, back to the minutes played. That sounds like a dumb bet to me. I'm not sure. That seems kind of odd. Anyways, oh yes, phenomenal recommendation. I will be recommending that again later. Molly's Game, wonderful, wonderful movie. Jessica Chastain, awesome. So odds makers have proprietary processes for setting betting lines, but betting lines generally took into account all publicly known information relevant to a given bet. the science behind betting is pretty amazing. How these people create essentially algorithms for determining where to set a line or whether or not Vegas might have something wrong or right. It's pretty interesting to see. So the fraudulent wagering scheme. In or about December of 2022 and March of 2024, the defendants, Eric Ernest, Mars Fairley, Shane Hennon, Damon Jones, De Niro, Laster, and Terry Rozier, together with others, participated in a scheme to defraud the betting companies by providing, obtaining, and using non-public information relating to NBA games to place and cause others to place fraudulent sports wagers for profit and to launder the proceeds thereof. Here's what the scheme involved. It involved various iterations of the same pattern with a network of co-conspirators. Dun, dun, dun. Side note, the fact that we only have this number of individuals, this is part of what gets back to me about the actual release. The NBA season kicked off, what, 2 days ago, 3 days ago? It just started. And one of the things that I've been back and forth on the announcement of this indictment and the timing of the announcement of this indictment is, why not let the NBA season go for a couple of months? Build up a little more evidence and make your case a little stronger, because you announced it at the start of the season. But then again, the other side of me was going, if they know that criminal activity is going on and that criminal activity is resulting in harm to either sports books or other individuals, then why allow that harm to go on into the season? Why not announce the indictment in hopes of individuals seeing the indictment, being scared off by the indictment, and diverting or changing their course of conduct based on the fact that they see that the FBI isn't just investigating, but they're actually bringing charges. So I'm kind of 50-50 on that shot. Part of me is wondering whether we would have seen some more, whether if they had held off on it to the conclusion of the season, you'd see some more interesting characters. Now, we still have probably more to come, but the other part of me is saying, well, that kind of is pretty shitty. You know, the FBI is there to kind of stop crime from happening. And if they know it's happening actively, then the best time to stop it from happening is, you know, before it happens. Like I said, catch 22. And I imagine that if you have very motivated parties, for example, the sports betting books, probably the most motivated parties of all, because they're the ones that are getting slammed by this. They're the ones that set the line. They have someone who's arbitrarily, or not arbitrarily, but essentially insider training and adjusting the line, or fucking with the line rather. So they have a ton to lose if the season starts going and you have some brazen defendants going about and perpetuating this fraud, pulling out crap ton of money that they're probably never going to see back. So I get it. Makes sense. I like the idea of it just not happening. There's a part of me, I guess the drama part of me, the T part of me, who wants to see, I want to see how far reaching this is. I'm sure we're going to get a lot more information. But when this was announced, you mean to say that there are players that are throwing games for money because there's insider trading or insider betting going on? Shocked. I'm amazed. No way. It's not possible. This hasn't been happening since the beginning of time at all, ever. But it's also really curious. You're wondering, what games? Was I right about that game? I don't know. Here's one way of avoiding it. Don't bet on games. Just saying. I don't wager on that kind of stuff. I don't know. Fraudulent scheme involved. Co-conspirators. The defendants and certain co-conspirators had access to private information known by the NBA players or NBA coaches that were likely to affect the outcome of upcoming NBA games or individual player performances. They provided other co-conspirators this non-public information for either a flat fee. Wow. How you setting the line on a flat fee? Interesting. Okay. Or a share of the expected profits. The co-conspirators disseminated the non-public betting information through a network of individuals who placed bets on co-conspirators' behalf. So straw bettors or directed others to place wagers, all with the intention of profiting off the scheme at the expense of the betting companies. As a result, many of the wagers were placed in connection with betting lines that did not reflect or account for the private information. Well, of course it wouldn't reflect or account for the private information because they don't know the information. The defense and co-conspirators placed and caused others to place those fraudulent wagers through the betting companies' mobile applications and retail sports books. Oh, there's the wire fraud connection. In doing so, they made and caused others to make materially false and misleading statements or representations to the betting companies and to omit to state one or more material facts, such as stating the basics for fraud. Among other facts they said that were materially misleading was when you made the bet, you have to click the little boxes. I have made my bet in accordance with your terms and conditions. And that was a lie, obviously. In many instances, the defendants and their co-conspirators' fraudulent bets were successful and were paid out by the betting companies. Well, I would expect so. You know, if you're trading off of insider information, you would hope the information is good. The betting companies would not have paid bettors for successful wagers had they known that the bettor possessed non-public information. Basically, if we knew you violated our terms of service, we would have given you money. In furtherance of the scheme and to conceal proceeds derived from it, the defendants and their co-conspirators engaged in and caused others to engage in transactions between and among themselves and others acting on their behalf, including peer-to-peer payment. So, hey, Venmo me that money. Bank wires and cash exchanges. Well, there's more wire fraud. Examples of some fraudulent wagers and the laundering of proceeds, thereof are set forth below. This is what I was looking at. The March 23rd, 2023 Charlotte Hornets game. So during the 2022-2023 season, defendant Terry Rozier played for the Charlotte Hornets. Prior to the March 23rd game against the Pelicans, Rozier informed the defendant, Taniro Laster, that Rozier was going to prematurely remove himself from the game in the first quarter due to a supposed injury and not return to play further. Rozier provided this information to Laster for the purpose of enabling Laster to place wagers based on this information. He was not on the Hornets injury report prior to March 23rd, and Hornets officials were not aware of Rozier's plan to exit the game prematurely. The public, including the betting companies, were also not aware of Rozier's plan to exit the game early. Laster sold the information about Rozier's plan to leave the game early to multiple co-conspirators, including the defendant Mars Fairley and co-conspirator 1, to enable them to place fraudulent wagers based on the non-public info. In exchange for the information, those individuals agreed to pay Laster approximately $100,000 from their expected fraudulent gambling winnings. That is no joke. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I'll give you this tip. My guy's going out in the first 5 minutes of the game. What do you want to exchange for it? $100,000. Wow. Exchanging of text messages confirming the plan. Whoop, there we go. That sounds like you have some text messages to back that up. You know, you wonder with these cases, how hard is it to prove? You know, the comment that you've seen often thrown around is, well, they're clearly throwing the game, right? They're throwing the game. How hard is that to prove? Someone has a bad day. Someone throws the ball away in anger or frustration. Someone just does something stupid. How do you prove it? Well, gee, I don't know. Maybe text message communications that verify certain conduct. You know, people are never going to crime. Well, I'm not going to complain about that. At some point in time, there is a weak link, and the weak link will show themselves either in spending money that they shouldn't be spending or confirming illegal conduct via text message they shouldn't be confirming via text message. Just saying. Pretty interesting. So exchanging text messages, confirming it. and to place wagers on Rozier's unders, that he would basically underperform relative to the odds makers' betting lines. The defendant also provided information to another defendant, Shane Hennon, so that Hennon, both himself through a network of straw bettors, could place bets on Rozier's unders. That sounds never mind. You guys laugh at that. I will too. Fairley provided the information to Hennon, and Hennon agreed to place and direct his associates to place bets on the unders based on agreement between them. Hennon would give Fairley a share of the profits from his and his associates' winnings. On or about March 23rd and prior to the start of the March 23rd game, multiple bets were placed by the defendant operating one of the betting companies, totaling $61,200, all of which were either straight or parlay bets on the defendant's Rozier's unders. In addition to placing bets on the unders, Hennon marshaled a network of associates to place bets on unders at the direction, including but not limited to the following bets, all of which were placed on or about March 23rd prior to the start of the game. So then you got co-conspirator who bet $107,000. Timothy McCormick and Long Five Fam placed multiple straight or parlay bets totaling approximately $41,000. Hours earlier, McCormick received two payments totaling $40,000 via peer-to-peer payment. That was what was used to fund the bets. Co-conspirator 3 placed a bet of $20,000. Co-conspirator 4 placed a bet of $17,000. Co-conspirator 5 placed a bet of $12,500. In addition to the defendants and their co-conspirators, others in the defendant Rozier's close circle placed wagers on the unders in connection with the game. For example, co-conspirator 6 placed approximately an $800 bet using Betting Company 1 mobile application. Okay. That seems like a rather low dollar figure. Since approximately 2022, co-conspirator 6 has placed dozens of bets on Rozier's performance via that company. Each one of those bets, with the exception of the under bet on Rozier's points in connection with the March 23rd game, was an over bet. Oh, so it's just bucking the trend. Co-conspirator 6's bet on the unders was successful. He was paid approximately $1,500. The days following the game, he placed multiple additional bets and lost approximately $4,000. Following, what the fuck? Following the string of losses, co-conspirator 6 texted defendant De Niro Laster, quote, "I lost that shit on Betting Company 1. I'm going to give you a light sack when I see you." And Laster responded, "Bet." Okay. Really? All right. Sure. Why not? Let's see. Relative of Laster places a $4,000 parlay wager. And then you've got, during the game, the defendant Rozier removed himself from the game in the first quarter and did not return. He played approximately 9 minutes and 34 seconds, well below his season average of approximately 5 minutes, 0.3 minutes per game. Scored 5 points, recorded 2 assists, and made 1 3-point shot, which were all below his per game averages of approximately 21.1, 5.1, and 2.6 3-pointers. So he just basically, he played really shitty intentionally. That's the allegation. On or about March 28, 2023, the defendant Mars Fairley traveled to Philadelphia to collect proceeds from the defendant Shane Hennon. From the successful wagers he and his associated placed on the game, as well as proceeds from other fraudulent wagers made in connection with the fraudulent wagering scheme. On or about March 28, 2023, the defendant Laster also traveled to Philly to collect Fairley proceeds from the wagering scheme in or about the late night hours. So on that evening, late in the evening, and in the early morning hours of March 29th, Fairley gave Laster tens of thousands of dollars in cash payments for non-public information that Laster had obtained from Rozier and had provided to Fairley regarding the plan to exit. After Laster collected his cut from the fraudulent wagering scheme, proceeds from the defendant, Marley Fairley, Laster drove from Philly to Terry Rozier's home in Charlotte, North Carolina. Wow. Holy shit. So how long is that drive? arrived in Charlotte on March 30th and met Rozier at his home that day. During the early morning hours of April 1st, Laster and Rozier counted the money that Laster had obtained from Fairley in Philly. Well, that's kind of interesting. How did we know that that happened? So you're saying he drove from Philly to Charlotte with a ton of cash in his car and went to Rozier's house and literally just sat there and counted out the money? Huh. That just sounds, that's just really dumb. That's just really dumb. Sure. Why not? Sounds wise. March 24th, Portland Trailblazers game. Oh, so the New York Post thinks that they found the exact moment in time or the exact game when this is said to have occurred, or this game itself. Let me do this, put it up here. Remove one. Take this down. And then share. So no audio. So there's the Hornets Pelicans game. There's Rozier. All right. Oh, look at that. He's playing very well. Way to go. Yeah. Oh, don't make sure you're selling the possible injury. Okay. Oh no, he's hurt. He's totally hurt. And nope. Is he done? Is he done? Let's see. Oh, make sure you get that limp going. Wow. Well, that's going to suck. That video being played to everybody. And how would that video work if they didn't have the information that after that transpired? You know what? Just people criming being people criming. Oh my God. What is so stupid? So that video is going to get played in front of a jury. And then the jury is going to hear testimony about this individual flying, picking up cash from the bookie, driving down to Charlotte to Terry Rozier's house, and then just divvying up the cash. Wow. That's going to sell really great. That's going to sell really, really awesome. Whew. Couldn't have held off. Like, you could have held off for a couple of weeks, a couple of months rather. You don't trust the guy that you just had place all these illegal bets. And you said, hang on to that cash for me. Maybe you can give it to me, I don't know, 7 months down the road, removed from the point in time when I actually did the thing that resulted in the payout of the bet. You think that might have worked a little bit better? I don't know. What the hell? Oh my God. Just okay. You really have to wonder, is there somebody now that is going through all of these big I don't even know why I'm asking that. That's a rhetorical question. There is someone at the FBI and probably various sports betting agencies who are looking through every big payout that was made on a bet that hit that they didn't expect to hit and matching that up with the performance of the player. The number of people who are going to now look at every game this entire season and go back and say who made a bunch of money. Oof. What a mess. Yeah, that part. This part. Joy WCA. It's not like he needed the cash right away, to be honest. He didn't. He made a shitload of money. Made a ton of money. So why are you having the cash driven to you within a day or two of you having the fucking game? What is wrong with you? Then again, I don't know. So, Portland Trailblazers game. On or about March 24, 2023, the Portland Trailblazers played the Chicago Bulls. Prior to the game, the Trailblazers record was 32-40, and the team was out of playoff contention with only 10 games remaining in the season. Prior to the March 24th game, co-conspirator 8 told the defendant, Eric Ernest, that the Trailblazers were going to be tanked, i.e. intentionally losing to increase their odds of getting a better draft pick in the upcoming draft. Co-conspirator 8, who I believe is the coach, told Ernest before the news was publicly announced that several of the Trailblazers' best players, including player 1, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, would not be playing in the March 24th game. The information that the Blazers would be tanking and not playing player 1 was not available to the public, including the betting companies. This is more of a stretch to me. They must have something, either text message or actual communication or a snitch. They have to have something there, because it's pretty well known that if your record sucks, you're not playing your starters because you don't want them to get injured. You're not playing your starters. You're intentionally losing games so you get a better draft pick. I mean, it happens in the NFL. It happens in NBA. It happens just all over the place. So I'm not really concerned about, that part. You better have something more than just this. Information was provided. In exchange, Fairley promised to pay Ernest at least $5,000 if the bets against the Trailblazers were successful. In addition, Fairley texted Ernest a screenshot of a purported $20,000 wire transfer from Fairley's bank account to Ernest, accompanied by the message address for the wire. After the defendant Mars Fairley learned from the defendant Eric Ernest that the Trailblazers planned not to play their best players on the March 24th game, Fairley conveyed that information to co-conspirator 1. Fairley and co-conspirator 1 agreed to split the profits on successful wagers so they could place against Trailblazers. So, before the players were ruled out, a bunch of people bet. The totaling of the bets was more than $100,000. Okay. Not an inconsequential amount of money. Injury reports publicly released at approximately 1:30 reported that player 1 was probable and then questionable to play in the game. About half hour before the start of the game, they released the injury report listing player 1 and others as out for the game. The out group included the Trailblazers' 4 highest per game scorers during the 2022-2023 season. The betting lines relating to the game changed upon the public release of the Trailblazers' key player injuries statuses, because it adjusted almost immediately. Together with the co-conspirators acting at their direction, the Bulls beat the Trailblazers 124-96. Not shocking. Not shocking. April 6th, Orlando Magic game. All right, so it looks like we repeat for a bunch of different games, a bunch of different wagers. That all goes down, so it's pretty simple to see the scheme as it's been offered there. Oh, Lakers. Oh, this is the Damon Jones assistant coach. Yeah. Okay. So again, more throwing of games by coaches. I think the coaches part is the harder part to prove. Oh, unless you have text messages. Oh, never mind, Rob. Keep reading. Man, it's going to be hard to prove that the coaches were involved unless they text about it. Seriously, people. Okay, no problem. For example, on or about February 9th, 2023, the Lakers played the Bucks. On the morning of February 9th, the defendant, Damon Jones, sent a text message to co-conspirator 9, writing, "Get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight before the information is out." Player 3 is out tonight. Bet enough so D. Jones can eat now. That right there. It's pretty stupid. He literally puts it in writing. He spells it out so clearly. Get a big bet before the information is out. Gee, I wonder if they can prove that count. Oh no. You would think. Why? Like, you make all of this money. It's so dumb. It is so dumb. You didn't use code. You didn't try to say, hey, I have a bad feeling about tonight. You didn't say anything. You literally put it into text. Put a lot of money on this other team before the information is out. And then you confirm the information that is not yet known to the public. And then you finish it up by saying, bet enough so that I can get money. What the fuck? What? Oh no, it's so bad. It's so bad. Player 3 did not play. Oh no. And the Lakers lost. During multiple occasions, apparently this happened. Oh, these text messages are going to be great. You've got to be kidding me. This is going to be, if they have all their phones, which you know they do, and if this is just one example, if they have more than this, this is just so stupid. Just amazing to me. Prior to the game, the defendant, Damon Jones, claimed to have learned from the trainer for player 3 and player 4 that player 4 was injured and was only going to be playing a limited number of minutes. Shared the non-public information with defendant Eric Ernest, who then sent text message to the defendant Marv's Fairley. Quote, hit me up ASAP. Got one for you, dude. Say he got some info. Then there's 2,500 that exchanges hands for an intermediary, followed by a message that says fee. This part is like, this is not shocking. It's not shocking. Oh my God, this is wild. After receiving the non-public information before the January 15, 2024 game began, the defendant Mars Fairley shared the information with co-conspirator 1 and Shane Hennon. Fairley and co-conspirator 1 then placed and caused the placement of multiple bets against the Lakers. For example, Fairley placed an approximately $100,000 bet against the Lakers at a retail sports book operated by betting company number 2. Hours before the game, the injury report listed the player 4 as probable. And it was not publicly disseminated, including to the betting companies, that player 4 would possibly play a limited number of minutes and or poorly due to the injury. Ultimately, he did play. Let's see. Oh no. After the January 15th game, the defendant requested via Ernest that the defendant Damon Jones repay the $2,500 that Fairley had paid for the non-public information. Despite the Lakers winning the January game, Jones reaffirmed to Ernest after the game, including via text message, that he'd received credible non-public information regarding player 4 during the game, prior to the game. Oh my. These text messages would be great. January 26, 2024, March 20, 2024, the Raptors games. So what happened here? Let's see. Scroll. Let's see. Jonte Porter, who I believe got convicted. I think he got actually convicted for this. And player of the Raptors agreed with Long Five Pham and others to exit the game prematurely on the basis of reported injuries so that certain of their co-conspirators could place fraudulent bets on the unders. Saying that came to fruition. Count one, conspirators to commit wire fraud. Do we need to recite it? Only we have to. They all did this stuff over the internet and over communication devices. Wire fraud. Got it. Done. Count two, conspirators to commit money laundering. You mean that they transferred money obtained illegally via different cutouts and laundered it? Got it. Not very complicated to understand that one. Criminal forfeiture allegation. Give us the money and all of the assets and everything that was obtained via these things. That is what they're going to try and do. Pretty straightforward. Not too bad. That's pretty simple, right? Not otherwise complicated. Gee, how do you prove this stuff? Me, listening to the press conference going, it's going to be pretty difficult to prove all these things take place. Read the indictment. Maybe it's not that difficult. Maybe they can do it. I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Absolutely amazing. I'll tell you what was amazing, though. Let me see. This dude. On X, formerly known as Twitter, I stumbled across this guy who this tweet was in January 30th of 2025. this dude here, it's pretty funny. Rocco, whatever it is, if Terry Rozier is being investigated, Chauncey Billups needs to be as well. Teni Adjva has played 35, 39, 34, 38, and 38 minutes in 5 of his last 6 games. In the other, he played 26, which was also conveniently against the Magic. Billups clearly deciding to bet the under on him versus Orlando. God. The guy coming in later saying, hey, you got any lotto numbers? Yeah, I know. Exactly. Right? Oh, God. It is so wild. The number of people who have commented on it, too. People are accusing the guy of being a Fed. So, I don't know what to tell you, but that's that's pretty bad. I would usually say that an indictment like this, proving a conspiracy charge on a betting issue, unless someone's really dumb, is going to be pretty difficult. It just turns out that some of the people here were pretty dumb or pretty cocky or a little bit of both. Because that's just a whole lot of what the hell were you thinking? That's what it is. Now, let's see. Crazy Cat Queen. Wait, Rob, are you saying gambling by players is that common? Don't they have pride in their sport? As a former athlete, that makes me really sad. Of course they have pride in their sport. Some of them do for a period of time until they realize it's money and they want money and more money, and the power that they want is power. I imagine that I imagine it's the exception, not the rule. I mean, I really do. I bet a lot of these players hate nothing more than losing, and they absolutely refuse to lose. So I imagine their teammates. Imagine if you are on a teammate, if you're on a team with Terry Rozier and you're on a team or Chauncey Billups, and you learn about this shit, how pissed are you? Like scale of 1 to 10. I'm pretty sure I'd be at like a 12. You're telling me you tanked these things intentionally? Like, gotta be out of your mind. Well, apparently Leo is taking Mischief Manager's spot on the couch. Let's see. Will this escalate? Is there going to be a fight? I don't hear a stumpa. No escalation so far. B. Hartling, can we get a happy 5th birthday for my grandson? Kiari, we absolutely can. Happy 5th birthday, Kiari. Happy 5th birthday. May it be ever pleasant. So Mini Mischief 2 is turning 7. Upcoming. And this is a little bit of an aside. Mini Mischief 2 is turning 7 in short order. And Mischief Manager texts me while I was at work and says, so I've got a brilliant idea for the birthday party. Immediately in my head, everything skeptical about me just goes up. Every single part of me is skeptical because there's no world in which something normal is about to come across my phone text message. And the message that comes back out, it says, so he's 6 turning 7. If anyone in the chat has children of a certain age, I want to say, I don't know, high school down, you all understood. Yep, there it goes. The chat has lit up. The chat has lit up. Everyone is now furious, just like me when that happened. 6, 7. 6, 7. I was so mad. I was just as mad as I expected to be receiving the text message that came afterwards. But he's 6 turning 7. And I was like, I hate you. We're not talking for a while. And then the added mistake, or the mistake was compounded because this was repeated in the presence of Mini Mischief 2. This wonderful birthday idea about this 6 turning 7 was repeated in the presence of Mini Mischief 2. And the second that the words came out of her mouth, Mini Mischief 1, who's in the room, who's 11, was just like, oh, yes. She and I were of the same mind. Yeah. It is absolutely horrible. For those of you unaware of what I just said, and for those of you very confused, let's see if we can't educate everybody. If you just type in 6'7" or 67 into the Google machine, I guarantee you 9 million options are going to come up. Actually, this is kind of funny. Forbes had to do a fucking article about it. Really? Seriously? Did Forbes? This is embarrassing. Wow. I didn't realize that this was worthy of an actual Forbes article. What is 6'7"? Viral internet brain rot. Meme frustrates teachers, sparks South Park parody. Members of Generation Alpha are yelling the numbers 6'7" everywhere, from TikTok videos to classrooms, as the bizarre, meaningless viral meme comes from a popular song by the rapper Skrilla battles teachers and will be parodied in the upcoming episode of Seriously, Forbes? You decided you had to write an article about this? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, it has an NBA tie-in. I forgot about that. Yeah, it does. There we go. NBA. Look at that. I closed the loop of the circle. It was previously not closed, and the circle closed because it originated with an NBA meme. Yeah, that was totally intentional. I absolutely meant that. I absolutely did not. And that's okay. We did the good thing. No, but no. Let's see. Yeah, no. The number of articles. Oh, you know what? It's phenomenal. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take a little break. We're gonna take a little sidetrack, because why not? I love sidetracks. You guys like sidetracks? They're fun. They're wonderful. Side adventure. The side adventure is this. This actually was important enough that we now have news segments speaking about what the hell this is. Really?
You may have noticed some new lingo.
All right, but do you have any idea what they're actually saying? Fox 5's Audrey Puente is here to give us a lesson in Gen Z slang. Please proceed, Audrey.
Yes, me and Nick are both giggling at this because we don't know what they're saying. I mean, just when parents got a grip on Gen Z terms like fire, Riz, and you.
No, the one that drove me nuts was when people were saying things are so Ohio, like it was bored, it was boring or lame, and they would just say, that's Ohio. What the hell?
8. Now there are new terms popping up faster than gray hair a few weeks after a dye job, of course. All right. So during a recent visit to my son's college, I noticed this in a dormitory window. We're going to go over to the weather graphics, I think. In the dormitory window right here, yes, when I saw what was a 6 and a 7 there, 67. And when I asked him what 67 meant, he said, no, Mom, it's 6-7, which I learned is the latest addition to Gen Z's vernacular. And no.
This is now news. This is on the news.
Nope, it's not math. It's actually used as a filler word that doesn't really mean anything according to my teens. It comes from a song by the rapper Skrilla in which 6-7 is repeated. It's used as shorthand for something that's like, okay, like that movie was kind of 6-7. Got it? Okay. Next.
I don't think it means shit. I think they just no, we're not doing Sandy. Nope. Side quest done. We're not doing Sandy stuff. Side quest has been wrapped. Yeah. So for those of you who have somehow avoided the 6-7 stuff, good for you. I don't know how you've done that. I don't know how you've accomplished it. I'm very jealous, envious even of the fact that you've been able to just avoid any of that nonsense. And however it has existed, you're still lost. Everyone's lost. No one. I think you have to experience the actual chaos that ensued or ensues if you happen to be in a classroom or around a bunch of children of a certain age and they'd see in a book that the page changes from page 6 to page 7 and just watch the reaction. Watch it. It makes no sense. It is entirely illogical. It is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I've seen a lot of dumb things. I don't know. I take that back. It might not be the dumbest. It is the top 20 dumbest things I've ever seen in my entire life. It's I can't get it out of my brain. I can't get it out of my brain. It's not there because it still happens. You would think that it would run its course for like a day or 10 days or like a month, maybe. No, this has been going on for months and months and months, and it's not stopping. Make it stop. Just make it stop. Put me on game. No, not gonna do this. We're not doing the Gen whatever it is, the Gen A. Like completely. Oh, on the scale of Baldwin to Proctor, how does it rate in stupidity? I don't know. More mindless. I don't know. It is so bad. Oh no. Terrible. Okay, so I'm going to catch up on chats. We're going to get back to the second half or part 2 of the, that's really stupid. Rob, take that back. Don't say it stupid like that. Part 2 of the various indictments that are going forward. So we've covered the NBA one, right? Makes sense. Logical. Everyone's got their head on straight. Sports betting. Everyone's shocked. No one's shocked. We're going to catch up on chats and we'll get to part 2, which is where like the 007 ship comes in. Finally freed, made it through the unexpected move. Congratulations. 7 years long. Case may be nearly done. 600 docs, only 563 now. Thankful for the FNF family and laughs along the way. Cheers to you, finally freed. Thanks for being here. Hope your day is going a little bit better. Sensationally social with Beth. I thought the press conference was an Ocean's 11 promo. No, it wasn't. It was, I don't know. It was all over the place. For those of you who didn't, I mean, hopefully you guys enjoyed the thumbnail this evening because it was wonderful. It was very well put together. Light Queen, thank you very much. Watching and listening while working on a mini dollhouse. My first build of this size and still finding the tools I need. Dude, dollhouses are so much fun to make. They're so hard though, because you need so many specialized tools that you didn't realize you needed. I will say bandsaw is probably the easiest and fastest way of doing it. That and an X-Acto knife, very carefully wielded. Morgan, it's been a very weird month to be an essential government contractor. Nobody that I work with is there, so I'm essential, but I can't get much done. I know that's been echoed all over the place. Morgan, again, I guess I'm only essential if something breaks. A lot of that sentiment has been echoing all over. Camilla, good evening. Good evening to you, Camilla. Thanks for being a member. Jolene, when is the big day with Ms. Mischief? Whenever I can get something scheduled on the books. Literally. It is all about time. And in terms of where priorities exist, feeding, housing, keeping alive the minis is like priority 1. Sanity, priority 2. And then doing the things necessary to do priority 1 and 2. And then somewhere down the road is some formality that we both live in and recognize. We will get there. I will get there. Classic overthinker. Can you look at the Aaron Spencer case, please? Hero Dad. I'll take a look at that. I know I've done some brief looks into it. I'll take a look though. Shay B, the swoop scares me every single time. Dang it. Really? I give you an announcement before it happens, Shay. Like I'd say it. I say swoop, and then it swoops. You have a split second. I don't know that I do the unannounced swoop. I'll try to avoid it in the future. Baby Steps, can't stay. Wanted to say hi and thanks for all you do. Have a great stream. I'll catch the replay. Love the replay crew. Have a great night all. Thank you very much, Baby Steps. And with that, I'm going to remind people, hey, there's 1,300 of you that are here. Odds are at least about 30% of you have not subscribed to the channel. Did I say the cheesy thing out loud? I did. 30% of you are not subscribed. Please check if you are subscribed and hit the subscribe button. Please, please do. YouTube says they do not do the unsubscribey thing. I get reports various times otherwise. So please check and hit the like button while you're at it. Very easy to do. You don't sign up for anything. It really is not a big obligation at all. It's no obligation. You just maybe get a notification from time to time. And I only stream at least like once a week if I can. Pop it. You often say, go make something. You'll feel better. So I did. Check your DM. Trying to finish project for my knee replacement. Ugh. Well, the knee replacement sounds both like it might be a good thing, like for you, health-wise. But also I can see why it might be for a holy shit. Wow. You weren't kidding. Really? Is it the table or it's the table? This is remarkably impressive. Here, I'm going to Bop It. For those of you who know Bop It, Bop It is a dog. So I imagine this was actually made by Bop It's human. But credit is all the same. Let's see. Wow. I do. I say, go make something. You'll feel better. That's something. Share. That's something. That is making something. That's no joke. And then there's another image up close. That's cool. Why are the images coming this way? Hang on. So dumb. Let me see. Can I do it this way? Yeah, look. That is awesome. Very well done. The angle on the legs must have been a nightmare to cut. Thank you for the very pleasant side quest, Boppa. Congratulations. Way to build. Way to go. Looks slick. Huge kudos. Shay B, thank you very much for this generous super chat. My youngest just turned 7 2 days ago. See, now he's from 6 to 7. Those of you who watch or listen to this later on a replay crew, when it's not late and there might be kids in the car, you let me know what comes and what happens when that segment or when I start talking about that happens. You have to just fill me in on it. I need to leave a comment. If your kiddo, or if you ask your kiddo, if you haven't heard of this, ask your kiddo and then leave a comment. Shay B, cheers to the kiddo who just turned 7. Marmont, that beautiful cat swoop, still missing an ear. Yeah, I know. That's my edit problem. Lone Star Living, that is a side quest. It was a side quest. It really was. Mackenzie Jabbly, I can't figure out 6-7. Thanks to my 11-year-old. Yeah, no one can figure it out. It doesn't mean anything. It's terrible. It's horrible. Chris Cat Queen, but Rob, this is how language evolves. People try out things, and when it takes, like shade. Yeah. I don't know that I'll ever be able to embrace 6-7, though. Harbinger of imminent death. What happens if a witness claims answering a question would be a crime? Example, classified information. Would the court assume that's true or potentially say, too bad, answer me or be in contempt? It varies from case to case. One of the things that we run into up here a lot is national security non-disclosure agreements, where you are not permitted to say certain things publicly. So we get ahead of it by telling the judge ahead of time we can't go to certain topics. Most of the judges will agree. Sometimes the judge will go into chambers and then you are required to say it, and then the judge determines whether he can say it in open court. VA Valkus. Speaking of Baldwin, has he accused his car of driving into the tree on its own, saying he didn't turn the wheel? Oh, yeah, that's a side quest, too. Where was it? I think I saw that. I might take a look at that again. Baldwin accused someone, a truck driver, of pulling out in front of him and slamming on his brakes, forcing him to veer off the road to save his own life. And then apparently it was on video, and it did not look like that at all. Finally freed my 13-year-old bonus kiddo, renamed his light bulb to 6-7 so he can yell 6-7 whenever he wants. Alexa to change the dimmer setting to color. Oh, God. That's horrible. So your kiddo renamed the light bulb 6-7 so he can yell, Alexa, 6-7? Oh, no. That's so annoying. I would overrule that in a heartbeat. H Scorpio. So you never chuckle at 69? 69 is something. It actually, like, the numbers line up to something that, like, that's what that is. 6-7 is nothing. It's nothing. One of them is immature and childish, and the other one is just dumb. Nancy A, do you ever have time to within your shop? I miss those streams. The shop right now, there's a thin layer of rust on the table saw that needs to be taken down. Problem is the shop requires at least a couple hours at a time, and I haven't had a couple hours at a time. That's the challenge. It's one thing to come home, take a couple minutes and throw something on the 3D printer, or I can do that remotely, intermittently between things. The shop usually requires more time, and I need more time. So the hope is to be able to get out there, actually build a couple of things that I need to build. There are goals, and we are still aspiring to meet them. Lindsay, us millennials also have our fair share of mindless memes. It's a Leuropleurodon. Charlie. Oh my God. Leprechaun. Oh no. Charlie. Yeah, I know that one. That's good old internet. Fiona W, thanks for gifting memberships. Very much appreciated. Maverick, Angel. Yay, love y'all. And FNF. Love you too. Thanks for being here. Shay B, even with the warning, it scares me. ADD and the TISM may have a part in that issue. Oh, I'm sorry. I will give you a warning so you can look away. ADD and the TISM may play a part. I understood it, I think. Thank you, Shay B. I will try to be more cautious about the warnings ahead of time. with that in mind, I am going to warn ahead of time. We're going to swoop because we're going to go to the rest of that particular story. So swoop, Shaby, look away. We're swooping. Okay. Going to Candy Mountain, Charlie. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the press conference for a brief moment just to see what that let him lay the foundation for Operation. Oh God, not Operation Nothing But Bet. This one's Operation Royal Flush. Yes. I said before it was cheesy. It was always going to be cheesy and stupid. All right, let's hear about Operation Royal Flush.
Early as 2019, the defendants in this case orchestrated a scheme to use wireless cheating technology to run rigged poker games across the United States, including in the Hamptons, Las Vegas, Miami, and Manhattan. The scheme targeted victims known as, quote, fish, who were often lured to participate in these rigged games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes who were known as, quote, face cards. The so-called face cards included the defendant Chauncey Billups, who at the time of the scheme was a former NBA player and is currently the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and also Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach. What the victims, the fish, didn't know is that everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam. Once the game was underway, the defendants fleeced the victims out of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars per game. The defendants used a variety of very sophisticated cheating technologies, some of which were provided by other defendants in exchange for a share of the profits from the scheme. For example, they used off-the-shelf shuffling machines that had been secretly altered in order to read the cards in the deck, predict which player at the table had the best poker hand, and relay that information to an off-site operator.
Yeah. The code names were odd. Hang on. Let's go to the, I forget, because she was better explaining it.
Good morning. Thank you to Director Patel, Assistant Director Rhea, and U.S. Attorney Nocella. What we're announcing today is not just another takedown. It's the result of more than 2 years of coordinated investigative work by the NYPD's Joint Organized Crime Task Force and the FBI. 2 cases that exposed criminal networks led by 34 individuals who believed the rules did not apply to them. They hid behind layers of complexity, behind money, and behind influence, believing those things would shield them from accountability.
At some point in time, you would think that ChatGPT would help write better, like just a little bit better. We're going to go to 1.3. Yeah.
The first case, Operation Nothing But Bet, exposed a gambling ring.
See, told you, nothing but bet. It was Operation Nothing But Bet. It was, and it missed. It bricked hard. That name choice was terrible.
Built around professional basketball, where players and associates allegedly used inside information to manipulate prop bets on major sports betting platforms. They placed wagers on unders on players to score less, rebound less, assist less, using information that was not yet public. In some instances, players altered their performance or took themselves out of games to make sure that those bets paid out. One example occurred on March 23rd, 2023 in Charlotte. Terry Rozier, an NBA player now with the Miami Heat, but at the time playing for the Hornets, allegedly let others close to him know that he planned to leave the game early with a supposed injury. Using that information, members of the group placed more than $200,000 in wagers on his under statistics. Rozier exited the game after just 9 minutes, and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group...
It does make you wonder a bit. Delivered tens of thousands of dollars in profit. How many people are up on that stage?
Counted their cash. As the NBA season tips off, his career is already benched, not for injury, but for integrity. As a result of this investigation,
oh my God, that was the worst one. That's the worst one. Oh, I had to pause for the cringe factor. What was that? Ew. Ew. Is it that she went last and therefore like all of the other like stupid puns you could have come up with were already taken? Do you think there was a cheat sheet in front of him? It was like, oh no, he used the one I was going to use. Therefore, I'm now relegated to this other stupid one. Gotta hear it again. Gotta hear it again.
Defendant here is already where the group counted their cash. As the NBA season tips off, his career is already benched, not for injury, but for integrity. As a result of this investigation, 6 defendants, including Rogier, are now facing conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud. In a second case, Operation Zen Diagram, investigators uncovered a long-running scheme in which members and associates of several well-known organized crime families rigged high-stakes poker games across the country. These operatives included capos and multiple soldiers from the Bonanno, Gambino, Lucchese, and Genovese crime families. Bringing 4 of the 5 families together in a single indictment is extraordinarily rare. It reflects how deep.
That's the truth. Like this is pretty damn big investigation.
And how far this investigation reached, and the skill and the persistence it took to get here. That work uncovered a deliberate, technologically sophisticated operation designed to carry out their crimes. They used custom shuffling machines that could read the order of cards, barcoded decks, and hidden cameras built into tables and light fixtures. The organizers also enlisted well-known public figures, former and current NBA players and coaches, including Chauncey Billups, the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, an NBA champion and a Hall of Famer, to make the games appear legitimate. Victims believed that they were sitting at a fair table. Instead, they were cheated out of millions. One victim in particular lost $1.8 million. In total, losses exceeded.
Just imagine you're the one, you are walking into a room and you are the only person who's going to lose that night.
$7 million and continue to climb. And when people refused to pay, these defendants did what organized crime has always done. They used threats, they used intimidation, and they used violence. It's the same pattern that we have seen for decades. Traditional mob enforcement methods combined with new technology to expand the reach of their operations. Now, with the unsealing of today's indictment, 34 individuals are facing charges including robbery, extortion, money laundering, wire fraud, bank fraud, and illegal gambling. I want to commend the outstanding work of our detectives from the Joint Organized Crime Task Force and their dedication to these cases, especially Captain Ruben Pagan, Sergeant Chris McGuire, Detective Alexander Creamer, Detective James McCullough, and of course, our Chief of Detectives, Chief Kenny. As part of these investigations, our members recovered and reviewed thousands of hours of video, conducted extensive surveillance on illegal gambling locations across the city, and executed more than 24 search warrants on electronic records that revealed the true extent of this conspiracy. Once again, the work of our detectives, together with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, closed those gaps before they could widen further. The NYPD is proud to stand with each of you today, as these cases represent the kind of partnership that defines modern law enforcement agencies, sharing intelligence, coordinating resources, and moving as one team. Thank you.
Okay. Everyone has said their speed. Yep, we sped her up a bit. There's a lot of people there. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a big sting. Like this is a big indictment. A lot of people, and this is very likely just the beginning of it. So I'm not taking away from anything that this is. I'm actually very curious to see what ends up happening beyond this, because it's going to be really interesting if this is just the tip of the iceberg and how it ends up playing out. Let's see. Let's go to the indictment. Actually, I think I've got an article on this one too. The article actually might give us a little bit more detail. One of the things I was laughing about earlier was this article from the Wall Street Journal on the betting NBC Universal made a $27 billion bet on the NBA. Will it pay off? October 21st, 2025. So NBC Universal finalized $27 billion rights deal with the NBA last year. So it's a whole lot of investment into a league that is now under some pretty intense scrutiny. But that's going to be pretty fascinating to see how that plays out. And do this. I was looking for one more thing. There we go. Give me one moment. All right. Before we go to the indictment, let's take a look at what I thought was kind of interesting. Inside the federal gambling case that ensnared NBA stars and mobsters, the U.S. attorney in Brooklyn outlined 2 cases: an insider sports betting scheme and a high-tech plot to rig underground poker games. Scroll. Winning is typically a good thing, but 6 years ago, scammers allegedly used Chauncey Billups as part of a sprawling criminal scheme to lure unsuspecting poker players to rigged tables, believing he was winning far too much. Billups was a face card. I guess king, queen, ace, jack. Just weird. Okay. Aided by using manipulated shuffling machines and X-ray table. That is pretty interesting. Let me see, because I think we've got. Yep. $7 million over 6 years. And then what I wanted to see was, maybe it wasn't this article. I think it might have been the other article. Betting ring. We'll read the indictment itself. The poker games. The dozens of men and women and one woman. It's always the dudes and one woman accused of rigging poker games across the country over the last half decade. Is it Molly? Was Molly the woman? I don't know. We can't be accused of using low-tech methods. The events are said to have used rigged shuffling machines that were secretly altered to read the cards on the deck, predict which player at the table had the highest hand, and relay that valuable information via interstate wires to an off-site operator. The off-site operator then communicated that information by cell phone to one of the cheaters, referred to as the quarterback or the driver, who used the secret signaling with other scammers at the table. But that wasn't the extent of the cheating. They used electronic poker chip trays that could secretly read cards placed on the table, card analyzers with decoy cell phones that could surreptitiously detect which cards were on the table, and playing cards with markers visible only to players wearing specially designed contact lenses or sunglasses. Like, are you kidding me? So there's the players that are involved, yada, yada. Oh, no. Do they actually make statements? Oh, no. Rose's attorneys said in a statement that he had reached out to these prosecutors to tell them you should have an open line of communication. They characterized Terry as a subject, not a target. Oh, this is prior to the arrest. But at 6 o'clock in the morning, they called to tell me FBI agents were trying to arrest him in a hotel. It's unfortunate that instead of allowing him to self-surrender, they opted for a photo op. They wanted the misplaced glory of embarrassing a professional athlete with a perp walk. Well, your guy sounds like wasn't really I don't know that I'm giving him that much respect, like in dignity. I really don't, not based on some of that conduct. Tells you a lot about the motivations of the case. I think they appear to be, so he says, they appear to be taking the word of a spectacularly incredible sources rather than relying on actual evidence of wrongdoing. Oh, those words aged kind of interesting. Did you say that before or after you read the indictment? Terry was cleared by the NBA, and these prosecutors revived the non-case. Terry is not a gambler, but he is not afraid of a fight, and he looks forward to winning this fight. Well, that's a bold statement. That's a very interesting statement. Because it seems like they have evidence of someone, of text messages, and someone driving down to give him money and counting it after he pulled out of the game. And then Chauncey Billups, oh no, his attorney came out and made a comment too. Oh no. Anyone who knows Chauncey Billups knows he's a man of integrity. Men of integrity do not cheat and defraud others. Why are you saying these things? Why are you not? Because by the allegations, didn't Chauncey Billups, isn't he one of the ones that was texting? To believe that Chauncey Billups did what the federal government is accusing him is to believe that he would risk his Hall of Fame legacy, his reputation, and his freedom. He would not jeopardize those things for anything, let alone a card game. Well, I mean, can we all agree that what the FBI and then the DOJ and the attorney in charge of bringing the charges, the prosecution in this case, that public statement was a little bit cringe. But can we also agree that going out there with this type of statements, like he would never do such a terrible thing that he's accused of doing, is equally cringe after you read that indictment? So I don't. Furthermore, he's never and would never gamble on basketball games, provide insider information, or sacrifice the trust of his team and the league, as it would tarnish the game he's devoted his entire life to. Ouch. That is quite the statement, sir. So are you saying that if it is proven that he did do these things, that it actually tarnishes the game and the league? Oh, yuck. That doesn't sound. When we read the indictment about the end, I mean, I was skeptical. That indictment looks pretty solid, at least as to the counts they brought. We're going to see with the poker indictment, see if they have information there. The NBA said it was reviewing. See, this is what a statement looks like. Here, this statement right there. The NBA said it was in the process of reviewing the federal indictments announced today. They're being placed on immediate leave from their teams, and we will continue to cooperate with relevant authorities. We take these allegations with the utmost seriousness, and the integrity of our game remains our top priority. See, that's a statement that looks like it was vetted by a PR team. That one. Huh. Okay. Yeah, see, Jonte Porter pled guilty in federal court and banned for the NBA for life. Gilbert Arenas was arrested and indicted. So let's see. There was this article which had some of the photographs, which gives you an idea. Okay, the gadgets. So this is courtesy of NBC News. The defendants used special contact lenses or eyeglasses that could read pre-marked cards. They also showed a photo of the x-ray table. Gee, I wonder how they have the photo of the x-ray table. It's almost like they had surveillance. Oh, look at that. Oh no, those cards are face down, but they're not. Really? Wow. Okay. Didn't know that was a technology we could use, but apparently it is. There's the shuffler. Apparently it was programmed to read the decks. And there's, what is this one? Offset operator. This is sophisticated as hell. All right, let's go to the indictment, shall we? I think we should. Indictment. Other indictment was well written, made sense, logical, coherent, loved it. Let's see. Operation Royal Flush, Venn diagram. I don't know what the hell operation it is. Royal Flush. So this indictment was unsealed yesterday. Whatever day it is. Time is a construct. U.S. of America versus a lot of people. All the defendants. A lot of people. Beginning in 2019, the defendants and their co-conspirators engaged in a complex fraud scheme to rig or cheat at illegal poker games. Excuse me, folks. My apologies. It's been a long day, long week. By manipulating certain poker games at otherwise non-rigged or straight illegal poker games, including weekly poker games occurring at locations in Washington Place, Lexington Avenue. Washington Place game, Lexington Avenue game were on record with and operated with the express permission and approval of members and associates of certain organized crime families of La Cosa Nostra, who provided support and protection for the games and collected owed debts from the games in exchange for a portion of the illegal gambling proceeds. Literally, this is just, it is Goodfellas. This is Goodfellas. We are now actually talking about rigged games and someone going by and breaking kneecaps to collect money. That's where we are. Victims of the rigged poker scheme believed they were participating in straight illegal poker games. So basically, everyone knew it was illegal, but they thought they were just not going to be cheated. And that they were gambling against each other on equal footing. In reality, however, the defendants and their co-conspirators reportedly played in the poker games, worked together on cheating teams, collectively the cheating teams, that used advanced wireless technologies to read the cards dealt in each poker hand and relay that information to the defendants and co-conspirators participating in the illegal poker games. The defendants and their co-conspirators then bet accordingly to ensure that the unsuspecting victims lost money. So we go through all the defendants. You don't need to repeat all of their names. A lot of people, big names. A lot of people. The rigged poker scheme. The defendants, Goodson, Hennon, Curtis Meeks, Robert Stroud, together with others, supplied other defendants and their co-conspirators in the scheme with the cheating technology. How does one come across that technology? It's pretty wild. On numerous occasions, certain defendants and their co-conspirators invited the victims, who were often wealthy, to rig the games. Well, you wouldn't want to bring a poor person to rig the game. That wouldn't make any sense. Very interesting. To attract victims, in some instances, well-known professional athletes participated in the rigged scheme, referred to as face cards. The face cards were members of the cheating teams and received a portion of the criminal proceeds in exchange for their participation. The defendants, Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones, both of whom are former basketball players, were face cards and members of the cheating teams. At the games, members of the cheating teams, including the defendants and their co-conspirators, used card shuffling machines that were purportedly randomly shuffling the playing cards to ensure fairness. However, they were secretly altered to use concealed technology to read the cards in the deck, predict which player at the table had the best poker hand, and relay the information via interstate wires to an off-site operator. Literally, there's someone that's just watching a screen who's in another state, who's then sending text messages back. They also use other cheating technologies, poker chip trays that could secretly read cards, card analyzers that utilized technology loaded into decoy cellular telephones that could surreptitiously detect which cards were on the table, and playing cards that had markers visible. So I'm curious about the cell phones. Decoy cell phones that could detect which cards were on the table. How? How though? That is something else. With respect to the poker games, members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families used threats and intimidation to assure payments of debts from the rigged games and the square illegal poker games organized by the defendants, as well as protect the games from competition and other potential threats. It's literally, this is just old. This is a movie. This is a movie. We are now watching a movie, just playing out in real life. In exchange, they received portions from the games or money, kickbacks. That's not surprising. Come on, let's go to some of the actual specifics of the allegations. In exchange for a fee. Scroll. For example, good. I like the examples. Examples are good. In furtherance of the rigged poker scheme in or around April 2019, several of the defendants participating in the rigged games in Las Vegas, Nevada, at which they defrauded victims of at least $50,000. The defendants, Chauncey Billups, Eric Ernest, Jamie Gillette, Robert Stroud, Sophia Way, organized and participated in the rigged games using rigged shuffling machines supplied by Stroud. Another example, in or around June and July 2023, several defendants participated in rigged games at Lexington Avenue Game, which they defrauded John Doe 1, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, of approximately $1.8 million. Defendant Anthony Schneiderman and his co-conspirators laundered at least $100,000 of criminal proceeds from the games involving John Doe 1. See, I'm with you. I get it. I understand cards usually have the RFID chips. I understand that part. My question is, it would, after cards get worn to a certain extent, the consistency of the card would change if they had RFID technology in the cards. At least I would suspect that. But I don't know. I'll trust your guys' word for it. RFID. I get it. I think the UV, it's the UV marks was one of them that we did see. June 2023, several of the defendants participated in rigged games in East Hampton, which they defrauded John Doe 1 or John Doe 2 and John Doe 3, $46,500 and $105,000 respectively. If you imagine losing that much money at this fucking card game, it's pretty wild. As a result, an example. So that last one. Overall, approximately April 2019 through the present, the rigged poker scheme caused losses up to the victims of $7.15 million. All right. Pretty interesting. And then we've got extortion. John Doe 6 gets extorted. John Doe 7 robbed at gunpoint. Steal a specific model of rigged shuffling machine. Wire fraud. Where is this? Ernest Ayalo, Nelson Alvarez, also known as Spanish G. Lou App. I mean, this is where the nicknames. Spanish G, Lou App, Flapper Poker, Flappy, Maddie the Wrestler, Spook, Juice, Black Tony, Sugar, H. Shen Hu was known as Jonathan Chan, Jonathan Hu, Skrully, and Stanley. Weird. D. Jones, John South, Kurt, Doc, Black Rob, Pookie. Oh, that's sad. Poor Pookie. Julia Ziliani is known as Jay. Okay. Sure. That's a lot of aliases. So they ran illegal games. All right. Guess we'll have to see. It's kind of a bare bones indictment. Not a whole lot. Hobbs Act, forfeiture actions. Pretty straightforward. Not that complicated. I mean to say that, like, I say not that complicated. It's pretty fucking complicated. I like not that complicated as in once you have walked through the indictment, it's pretty like they use devices to cheat the games. The games resulted in a lot of people losing money. They then tracked down individuals and beat the crap out of them to get the money out of them. Movie Goodfellas, written indictment with, imagine, a whole lot of video, photographs, and other evidence along the way. So I cannot imagine this is going to be short-lived or because it's a whole lot of money that they just disrupted for a whole lot of people. I didn't realize the crime families were still that big and still had that much of a presence. But then again, that's just me being naive little old me. Not that I would ever have any need, desire, or I don't know, impulse to try and find any of that. Let's see. Maybe it's part of, I think it's part of the press release. That's the Rig Sports one. Give me 1 second, folks. Give me look. Technology. We use technology. It's just a repeat of the damn indictment. And then there's asking for additional tips. Okay. We will see where this goes. Typical mafia BS has been going on forever. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. Pretty fascinating. I'm very curious where this is going to go. But like I said, I was more fascinated in the NBA part of this one because the players throwing games has been something that's happened since the beginning of time. I feel like both of these things are things that just everyone knows happens. Everyone knows these things are going on. And I also imagine that everyone gets caught the same way. There's some idiot who sends a text message that, or you know what it is? It's always some idiot that goes and buys something really expensive, right? So the guy's driving around in a brand new car, but he doesn't have a job. It's always, every single time, it's always that. It's always some jackass. Once the circle gets big enough, some jackass goes and buys and spends a lot of money on something, and all of a sudden it gets the attention of the FBI, somebody else, and they're like, huh, that person's driving a very nice car. Let's take a look at their bank account, or let's take a look at their communications, or let's follow them around. And that person drives that very nice car directly to a place where there's a dude that looks really mean outside. And then he goes inside, and then you see a bunch of people walking around like later at night, and they use a stupid code word to go in. And all of a sudden, like, you're there. It's always the stupid idiot who gets everyone else caught. So I guess thank God for the stupid idiots. It just seems like it's a lot of resources to catch that. And it's good. Good. Not a big fan of all the illegal gambling. Yeah. Some idiot reports, I got cheated at a poker game to the cops. A poker game, you say? Yeah, kind of. Or they drive directly from Philly to Charlotte to transfer money to the player who took themselves out of the game. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's fascinating. I do. I really like the story. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this thing moves forward and how the trial starts to take shape. I imagine we will see more than one superseding indictment, because I imagine this is just the beginning. This is the first cast of the net. It's like, hey, let's see what we can do. Throw the net out there. Active investigation still going on. A couple people surface because here's the other thing about these things. Once you announce the indictment, one of the reasons for these big press conferences, gee, why would they do a big press conference? I don't know. Maybe the FBI has some wiretaps floating out there. Maybe they have some wiretaps of individuals or who haven't been very active or communicative until the start of the NBA season. And then they do this really big press conference. And you know what happens after the really big press conference, especially with individuals that are pretty stupid? They start texting one another and they call one another and they start saying a whole lot of things. And you know what? Some of them probably drive their really fancy car that they bought with the job they didn't have. And they drive that really fancy car to another person who has another fancy car who drives a fancy car, doesn't have the job to afford it. And they talk. And now the FBI has two people to follow. So this is like one more domino in an investigation that I imagine is going to bring a whole lot more to the table. So I'm very, very curious to see. Yes, we learned about this. We did. We learned about the bump. We learned about the bump from the Adelson case. So this is quite literally just, let's do this really big press announcement of these things that might seem related, might seem unrelated, but we're going to make sure that it's on the front page of every single news media outlet. And so every single person sees it. The really dumb ones that we already have wiretaps of are going to use their phone to do the really dumb things. It's the most money I've ever made off of a bet. I play cards in Vegas and I've walked away up about $1,500. That's really it. I don't like because I don't like risking too much. It gives me anxiety. Lots of anxiety. So let's go through. We're going to catch up on some of the chats and we'll get to our last story, which is the Michael Proctor story. Because of course Michael Proctor did some stupid shit. Of course he did. And we had some breaking news today that is very fascinating. Before we do that, I need a brief little break, but I'm going to do this because it's going to make people happy.
Mary Murphy, member for 9 months, so they can't believe. Okay, stop. I need the Southern Febreze. Hey, can somebody bring me the Raid? There's a bug. There's a bug in my studio.
What in the world is that? Oh my gosh.
And I don't want to turn the camera on it because I'd have to zoom out so it would all fit in the camera lens. It just went behind the cabinet. You guys, oh my goodness.
There was this bug that had a huge, I think it's a roach, that had a huge thing of dust on it.
I will tell you what's going to happen. What's going to happen is this. That bug, and when I talk about bug, I'm talking, it's those, they call them water bugs here in the South. We know what they are, and they're not water bugs. That was like, it was the size of a small dog.
It looked like a monster coming towards me. Holy cow.
Unmute.
And occasionally when we get one of these that come inside from outside, usually when the fall down, they're around the leaves outside, but when they get into the house, I have words to say, and now it's literally crawling towards my green screen. So I'm going to be on camera like this, and then on the green screen, you're going to see a bug crawl across the wall.
I can.
This is bad, guys. It's going to be a bad day. I can't step on it because it was like at waist level on the wall, and my feet don't go that high.
There's a series of questions.
Oh, I just put my arm
based on what I heard Mr. Shapiro comment on about the 20.
Bug will be dead by the end of this show for sure. Bug has nowhere else to go. I mean, it's not like there are wires it can hide behind in here. Yes, cats will eat them. We're keeping the cat.
Okay. See, that's fun. Just a little break, little bit of pause. So I can get a sip of water and yeah. Mackenzie Jabberley. Oh my gosh. I'm afraid I screwed that up. Thanks for correctly pronouncing my last name. I hope I did it twice. I fear I might not have. I apologize if I screwed it up. Shay B, thank you for gifting 50 memberships. Very, very kind of you. Lisa Schreiber, fun fact, Skrilla is from Philly. 6'7", comes from his songs Doot Doot. Linguists will tell you 1067 is the PA police code for death. It's a buzzkill. Just saying. Whoa. Now I learned something I don't know if I wanted to learn. Oh, that's false. I love learning anything. And Annika, hey, good to see you. Thank you for giving your membership. Glad to see you. It's been a little while. AG Chris Ramsey did a video on that tech. To check that out. Coding at the speed of light. Baldur's Gate 3, Italian food and law and lumber. Best Friday ever. That's a lot of things to do at one time. Gee, I wonder if you have any mental superpowers. Surprise, surprise. Ohio Palm Mom, I found RA through this video. Yeah, it's a fun one. That's still one of my fun go-to. Palette cleanse. That's what it was. Palette cleanse. It's better than the other palette cleanse I had in mind. Do we want to do the other palette cleanse I had in mind? Because I read it. Wait, I didn't know that's. Where's the video where Peter's reacting to your bug compilation? I need to see that again. I don't remember. I have to check that out. I will do this. I will actually show you guys what the other palette cleanse was. I'm afraid to do it though. I stumbled across this today. Those of you that cannot read, I can read this to you. Because this is a cleanse. It's not necessarily a palette cleanse. It's a cleanse. It's a story of a cleanse. It's a terrible cleanse. What happens when you drink 10 ounces of magnesium citrate? I'm glad you asked. Buckle up. Oh, God. This is so bad. Oh, okay. Oh, man. Okay. So, 12:05 p.m. It begins. You down the 10-ounce bottle like it's a lukewarm PBR at a college tailgate. The label says cherry flavored, but it tastes like something described a cherry to a chemist who's never eaten fruit. Regret sets in instantly. 10:06 p.m. So 1 minute later. 1 minute later, you grab a handful of chips for moral support. They'll be liquefied before they clear your throat, but who cares? Life still feels okay right now. Remember this piece. You're about to enter the darkest chapter of your gastrointestinal history. 12:37, the rumbling starts. There's movement in the depths. You've got 5 pounds of impacted regret in your colon, and you just drank the human-safe version of Drano. You think it's go time? It's not. You get one sad little snake turtle warm-up act. That's the last semi-solid you'll see for the next 24 hours. Oh, I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I can make it. Oh. 12:57 p.m. The situation escalates. Your stomach is in full revolt. You have 0.3 seconds to make it to the toilet. Running is risky business. One wrong step and you'll paint the walls. Oh no, I can't make it. You pray for sphincter strength like never before as you waddle at Mach 3, pants half down, whispering, please God, not like this. I am so immature. I am so immature. 12:58 p.m. Impact. Instant the gates hell open. Oh no. Explosion is biblical. It hits the back of the pole with such violent force it ricochets like a sprinkler system. Nope. Can't. I already read this once today and I'm still dying. I can't breathe. You ask yourself, is that blood? Nope. False alarm. Just the ghost of a cherry pie you ate in 2004. Oh, dying. The smell unspeakable, the acoustics terrifying. The neighbors think you're performing an exorcism. 1:06 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. That's quite the window. Time becomes meaningless. You've evacuated everything you've ever eaten, plus a few ancestral meals for good measure. Your colon feels like it's been sandblasted with lava. The burn is real. You're sweating, crying, contemplating life. You meet Jesus briefly, but he sends you back. Says your mission's not over yet. 8:37 p.m. You're empty, broken, reborn. Oh God. You're a butthole war veteran. Your spirit in recovery. You'll never be the same, but you will survive. Tomorrow he'll rise from the ashes, slip in your last clean pair of underwear, and waddle into Walmart like a survivor of a gastrointestinal warfare to buy a new toilet brush and reclaim your dignity. You've earned it. Feeling thankful. Remind, yeah, okay. Oh, I stepped out of a meeting. Into the kitchen area in my office at the end of the meeting, and I just pulled up my phone, and I swear to God, it was the first thing I saw on Twitter. I've opened it just to decompress for a second, and I saw that on Twitter. I started reading. I just started laughing so hard. I couldn't stop. I wanted to die. Oh, it's just so terrible. Oh no. Okay. Oh. There's a lot of lived experience being shared in the chat right now that, oh no. I feel like everyone is just embracing each other who's been through this. And it's like, I've been there too. You'll survive. Maybe. Don't ever do it. God. That was so bad. Oh, yeah. Okay. That was all right. That was much needed. And maybe palate cleanse was the wrong choice of words. A very poor choice of words, but it is what it is. It was a laugh. We needed it, right? We very much needed it. Okay. It's just cruel to tell colonoscopy prep patients bottoms up. It's just I lack the maturity to handle that appropriately. Oh, people are asking what the name of the account was. It was it's called Health Rebellion One Man Circus 87. Apparently the guy may or may not have taken it from a Reddit thread. I'm not sure. But I bet if you just did a search for magnesium citrate out there and lived experiences, you'll probably stumble across one or two stories. I did want to die. I almost just completely keeled over laughing. Like embarrassingly so. Like I think one or two of the other people in the office were wondering if I was okay. I was like, I am not okay. I deal with such awful things during the day. Not that kind of awful thing during the day, but that bit of was needed. So speaking of maturity, that brings us to, hey, Shay, swoop incoming. That brings us to our last topic of the evening, which is someone who lacks every ounce of maturity that you ever imagine and in a position that you would never want them to be in. So swoop incoming, swoop in 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right. So we're going to start with a story. It is a story. Tale as old as time. I don't know if it's a tale as old as time. It shouldn't be a tale as old as time. Why is that? I need to. Let's see. How do I make that go away? Okay. For those of you wondering, yes, we're talking about Michael Proctor. I know that it has been covered pretty widely. So for those of you wanting a little bit of a road so far, Michael Proctor was a Massachusetts state trooper. For those of you who recall the Karen Reed trial, Michael Proctor was a very prominently featured character in that trial. He was the lead investigator tasked with the case and testified in the first proceeding. Turned out that the feds had gotten a copy or gotten his phone. And in his phone were text messages that were, let's just say, awful. Not going to be repeated. Pretty terrible. Referring to Karen Reed as a whack job. See you next Tuesday. Talking about medical conditions. Just not what you would want to see from a lead investigator in any particular case, much less a homicide. So Michael Proctor, as a result of all of this, ends up being terminated. He gets terminated before the second trial, and actually ends up not testifying in the second trial, or the retrial of Karen Reed. His text messages still come in, at least the group chat. But there was a big debate because the text messages were uncovered in a federal grand jury investigation. So they're sealed, they're protected, they're not publicly disseminated or available for public dissemination. Hell, they're basically behind, for all intents and purposes, a firewall. Well, it turns out that Michael Proctor was also involved in a lot of other investigations. Go figure. Massachusetts State Trooper at the time, involved in tons of other investigations. And a lot of other people wanted access to these messages. Why wouldn't you, right? He's a cop. He investigates these murders. You want to make sure, if you represent your criminal defendant, you want to make sure that you have access to this material. So what you do is everyone starts asking for this material from the feds. Said, feds, dear feds, please let us have this as well, because this is material to our case. And then all of a sudden it starts to trickle out a little bit at a time. While this is going on, Michael Proctor has been terminated, and he has appealed the termination. He says, it was not fair, you nasty, mean people, that you fired me from my employment, because I was just like every other person. I was wrongfully terminated. I should not have been terminated for my conduct. Y'all blew it out of proportion. So he appeals that determination. At some point in time, rather this week, it gets revealed that it wasn't just a few things that were on his phone. It was a lot of things that were on his phone. There was a whole lot that was there. Do we want to watch a little bit of the hearing, just a little bit of it, so that we can get to today's little bit of news? I think we probably should. Let's see. Let's see. Let me see, 10 Boston, or is it Boston 25 News? I think Boston 25 had coverage of inside the courtroom. Give me one moment. Pull this up. Because, of course, I was a little bit distracted. Was it Boston 25 that had it? Because I watched the hearing. Watched it. Of course, I watched it not on my own channel. Not on a channel. But rather just watched it. Let me see. Yes, going back all the way to 2013 was when the messages were discovered. Oh, hang on. Did we watch this hearing? Oh, the appeal hearings. I forgot. I never watched those appeal hearings. Oh, no. That aged like milk. That's pretty terrible. Let me see. It was what, 2 weeks ago? Or was it shorter than that? Why do I feel like it was shorter than that? I'm not looking at the chat. Let me see. Give me 1 second. All right. I'm going to find this, but it's going to take me a minute because I want to make sure. I don't know who streamed it. Or who was in court that day. Let me see, 10. Yeah, it was last Friday. Okay. There we go. I knew I would find it. No, I didn't. I didn't know I was going to find it. I hoped I would find it. I didn't know I was going to find it.
All right. Information that with certain things. Okay.
I am also filing a notice of discovery 6 and a notice of intention to introduce medical records.
Sure.
I don't think that's this hearing. Goes on for a bit. There we go. Here we go. All right. So now we're having a fight over the preservation of Michael Proctor's cell phone. And
Tipton is present. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant.
Having a fight over the preservation of the cell phone and what we're going to do with it and what the Commonwealth has disclosed. Because the Commonwealth filed a notice with the court, notice of discoverable material. Basically, per the judge's order, the Commonwealth comes out and says, hey, judge, we have a whole lot of stuff. We have more than we thought we would have. So we would like to have some time to go through that.
District Attorney Lisa Beatty. If the parties could please identify themselves for the record.
Good afternoon, Lisa Beatty for the Commonwealth, and there are various other assistant district attorneys representing the trial teams present.
All right.
Judge, good afternoon. Attorney Kurowski again, as mentioned, standing in for Attorney Scapiccio on behalf of Mr. King, and standing in for Attorney Scapiccio on behalf of Mr. Johnson, and representing Mr. Dalla Santos.
Thank you.
Larry Tipton for Mr. Walsh.
All right. And Mr. Cataldo?
Yes, good afternoon. Joseph Cataldo on behalf of Bianca Jancio.
Okay, we can hear you loud and clear, but we cannot see you.
I will, Madam Clerk, if I just log on, I'll come back in because it says my camera is working. And
No. It's all right. Just so long as you're content, we're content.
All right. Yes.
Okay. What is the current status?
Your Honor, Judge Casper issued an order on Friday which allows the Commonwealth to provide to the defendants who in the cases that were called, in addition to some other designated defendants. It allows the order allows the Commonwealth to produce some grand jury materials to the defendants in those cases, provided that they are filed under seal. The order that was issued on Friday, we are also allowed to produce to the parties in the court as long as it's filed under seal, and an index, again, as long as it's filed under seal. So I have those materials present for the people who are here today, and logistics are making this a little bit complicated for people who aren't present. But we have some signed motions for protective orders and a draft order for this court. And assuming that the court endorses the draft order, then the attorneys can start signing the acknowledgement, which is at the bottom of the draft order, and the materials can be produced.
Basically, Commonwealth is saying, we're going to be able to give you this stuff, but here's basically a protective order that prevents you from disseminating it broadly. You are very limited in what you're doing. People are asking what the question is. That's the time of day. Most judges have that on the front of their bench so that you know what time court is. That's all it is.
There's a draft order for this court to consider?
Yes. So I don't know, this is a signed one on Walsh. They're all identical at this point in time.
All right, let me take a look.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Reviewing an order, reviewing an order.
The process worked was that both items were considered grand jury materials because one was an exhibit in the grand jury. So they are both grand jury materials, as I understand it, based on, is it, now I want to make sure that is the index also?
Yeah, the index is also referenced in, let me just see for a second, in your proposed motion protective order.
So there is no separate TUI materials?
So the entire universe of what the Commonwealth received from the feds or the federal court in connection with the Reed case is now going to be turned over.
No.
Well, so that's my question.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. I think, are you referring to the mention of TUI materials?
I am.
Okay, that was what was produced to the parties in Reed.
Okay.
So that is referred to as TUI materials for the purposes of what was produced to both the Commonwealth and the defense in Reed.
Right.
So this is a subset of those materials.
And the question is whether the obligation on the Commonwealth to review materials beyond what is contained in the order from Judge Casper is separately determined by the U.S. Attorney's Office regarding TUI materials. That is to say, the universe of confidential materials that we've been talking about for months.
Yes.
Okay? Is it all now going to be able to be reviewed by the Commonwealth and turned over to Defense Counsel, or only some subset covered by this order by Judge Casper?
We've already reviewed all the materials, and we had done that prior to the last court date before then.
Right.
We are only permitted to provide to Defense Counsel certain materials. These are the only materials that we sought permission after our review to provide. That is to say, the other materials we did not believe met our obligation.
Did you catch her say two things that were different at one time? I don't know if you caught that.
Permitted to the last court date before. We've already reviewed all the materials, and we had done that prior to the last court date before then.
Right.
We are only permitted to provide to Defense Counsel certain materials.
We are only permitted to provide the defense counsel certain materials. So we are only permitted. So the implication is we are restricted, prohibited from giving this materials. Ready?
These are the only materials that we sought permission after our review to provide.
Versus these are the only materials we sought permission to provide. Square that circle. I'm not sure how, but square that circle.
That is to say, the other materials we did not believe met our obligations under Rule 14.
So you reviewed all the confidential information, and the only materials that you felt needed to be turned over were the two categories of information contained in Judge Casper's order. All the rest, you did not seek authorization either through the U.S. Attorney's Office pursuant to 2E or from Judge Casper to turn over.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. And okay. I'll hear from the parties, the defense counsel, if they wish to address the court.
So I guess I'll start, Attorney Krowski, on behalf of Mr. De Los Santos. My understanding of the order was that under the umbrella of grand jury, we are going to receive these materials, which would include all of the grand jury from the federal court, including any and all exhibits related to Trooper Proctor. It is my understanding, though, that there are
There may have been more than one exhibit. It seems like you only did get one exhibit.
There are materials outside of what actually was presented in federal court that we are also going to have access to, and that would be information from the cloud and the personal cell phone of Trooper Proctor.
And this is tough. This is tough. This is asking for a very significant balancing. And I don't know, had we not been entirely jaded by what took place in the Karen Reed trials 1 and 2, we would probably be viewing this very differently, right? I think the question would be, what gives us the right to review the entire contents of someone's personal cell phone, right? So that would be the starting point. What gives us the right to review the entirety of someone's personal cell phone? There has to be some screening that takes place to remove personal elements out. An individual doesn't lose all aspects of their privacy because they have possession of one or two materials that would otherwise be discoverable. That would be the starting point. However, former trooper Michael Proctor has kind of, it's the stink that just keeps on getting worse. It's like behind every rock is another body. And you're just going, what the fuck? Every time. So the question now is just becoming, I recognize that every person has their privacy interests and their privacy rights. And I recognize that even former Trooper Proctor has a privacy interest in a lot of his communications, and that there has to be some methodology that doesn't just put his private communications in the hands of people far and wide who can do or might do with it whatever they please. So I can see that there should be a screening. Problem is, what do you do when you've kind of lost trust in the system that was otherwise used to do the screening? In so many cases, there would be a taint team, or there would be documents filed under seal the judge would review, and that would be enough, right? That would be enough that we would trust the system and the process to take place. In this jurisdiction, does it feel that way to you? Really? With how this jurisdiction has handled Proctor, everything else involved? That's the problem. Is you play that game of, we're going to back our weakest horse here. And, you have people take the stand and say, no, everything Trooper Proctor did, if he did it, it's fine. I'm good with it. It was probably the right thing to do anyways. Turns out that it's not. And how much credibility gets lost of the entire process. I think that's the problem. So I don't know, but I also don't know what you do. I don't know what you do here as a judge. Because the other part would be, does the court then take it all under seal? And then at that point, you're asking the court to make determinations that they shouldn't be making. At some point in time, you have to trust people to follow the rules, but I don't know what to do. And there's a whole lot of trust that has to be extended here. Now, attorneys are pretty good at catching little things here and there. For example, a privilege log, like I can see a communication if you tell me who was on it, but I don't know. It's hard. I will tell you this, in about 9.5 out of 10 cases of mine, I trust opposing counsel to send me a privilege log that accurately describes things that they're withholding on the basis of that privilege. Because by and large, counsel on the other side, while they will play within the confines of the rule and stretch as far as they can, but they're generally within the rules. Like they're there. Like they're not completely withholding something and not telling me they're withholding something. I have found that in my experience that I can extend that trust to a certain extent, just like they extend that trust to me. It's just this one jurisdiction that has done so much damage to the public trust of the entire system. Makes me uncomfortable. Even hearing these arguments, it makes me uncomfortable.
Understanding that correctly.
So I want to make sure that I'm answering the question that's being asked, but separate from the motions regarding what was produced to both the defense and the Commonwealth pursuant to the 2A request. In King and Johnson et al., Judge Doolin had issued an order for Trooper Proctor's personal cell phone, the device, not the platform.
This was, Birth 90. I like this comment. This was where my head went to at first. The judge should appoint a special counsel to review the material and decide what should be available. Didn't they do that with Special Prosecutor Cosgrove? Like, hasn't this jurisdiction already done special appointments? And hasn't that also just not cured the issue? I think that's one of the issues I have, because they also did Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan. Like they've done special prosecutors. It feels like, I mean, I don't know. Do you go outside the jurisdiction, which I don't think they have the authority to do, and hire someone else to do it? It just looks so. I don't know. Maybe special counsel, but who? Who would we appoint that anyone would trust at this point?
Allowed the device, and you modified that order. And we have been in the process of executing that order, and that is an entirely separate process from this.
Right. That's what I was saying. I just wanted to be clear on the record that this is not on these cases and these defendants. This is not the end of the issue as it relates to discovery related to Trooper Proctor.
Right, but I want to be clear about what this does and doesn't do, right? The Commonwealth has done its review on all the confidential information that was obtained from the federal court, has made a determination that what needs to be produced is certain things, and as I understand it, the only things that are authorized to be turned over by Judge Casper are those things that the Commonwealth has already predetermined are the things that need to be turned over to defense counsel in this case because they constitute exculpatory evidence. But they have reviewed other things.
Yes.
And made a determination that those other things do not have to be turned over, are not exculpatory in any manner in which exculpatory has been construed. And so, it seems like the Commonwealth has discharged its obligation, has been authorized to discharge its obligation to review this information, the confidential information obtained from the feds, and has gotten the authorization to turn over the stuff they think needs to be turned over.
May I add two things?
Sure.
We also, because we want to be clear, as clear as we can be and as clear as the federal government will allow us to be, we sought permission to have the index, which I think is something that was discussed in hearings previously. So we also will have the index, which gives some idea of materials that we did not seek authorization to provide and do not have authorization to provide and are not providing. And then
and that's the index of other materials.
Correct.
Okay? And that will, between the stuff that is authorized to be produced and will be produced, subject to a protective order, and the index, the defense will know all of the stuff that you reviewed.
And in addition,
Is that right?
That's correct. That's the intention, is so that there's not a big mystery about what the other materials were. And in addition, and why those, as outlined in the U.S. Attorney's Office letter.
Here was my question with the index. My question with the index was, is the index in the same format as it was when the feds gave it to the DA's office? Like, for example, if the index was prepared by the feds, like when the feds turned the materials over and they were the ones that created the index and how to describe the index. If it's in that form, if I'm defense counsel, fair. Give it to me. Give me the index. I want to see it. Let me be able to challenge one or two things that you're going to say. Let me be able to go one step further. However, if the index is one that you created and you had the ability to name the items that were in the index, then that's me extending a level of trust that I'm not presently capable of extending. So I want to know who created the index before, like we're agreeing to this. And the way she describes it gives the way that she describes it suggests that the index is the same that the feds provided to the DA's office when the materials were turned over. That's what she is suggesting. That's how it sounds. And if that's the case, I'm happy. But I don't know if that's the case or not.
Letter why those other items are not Rule 14 material in these cases.
I'm sorry, the index indicates why they are not Rule 14?
It provides, the index itself doesn't provide that, but reading the index, I think, provides some information about why they're not Rule 14 material.
Okay.
See, it also doesn't, because when the judge says the index says that, if she had said, yes, the index says why it's not Rule 14, then my conclusion is, okay, you prepared the index. I don't trust it. Or I need to look through it. I need to look at it more carefully. But the way that she said it, it's like the index doesn't say it, but you can see from the index why it would or would not be.
And then finally, the order now contemplates or orders a return to destroy date of the other materials of October 31st.
I do have some concerns, obviously, in thinking about a reservation of rights on behalf of the defendants, because we're in this unique position here where the government is really the arbiter of what is or what is not Rule 14 exculpatory information. My concern is once we start getting into the actual discovery, it might become obvious to us that other information is out there that is not discovery. It's a very difficult thing from the position of a prosecutor to make a determination, not knowing the defendants and the defendant's theory of the case, what is or is not exculpatory. So I am concerned.
But here's the other part about this, the point that he kind of misses. Well, I mean, it's the point that everyone is kind of gotten beyond. He starts at the point of he's concerned with the fact that the prosecutor gets to make the judgment call on what is or is not exculpatory and must be turned over. The truth is that's the default. That is always the default. The prosecution and the state are the ones that have all of the materials available. They have all the materials, and they are the ones who in every prosecution since the beginning of time get to go through that and make a determination of what they are going to turn over, what they are required to turn over. They are the first ones and the only ones. Because the defense counsel doesn't get to go into the police department and rip apart everything in there. You get to go there and have materials turned over to you, but they're the ones that decide what to turn over. You can compel them if you think you don't have everything that you were supposed to be given, and the judge might even enter an order compelling them to give it to you. But it's no guarantee that they've complied with the order. I mean, hell, we saw that in the last trial. So the prosecution is the one who makes that first determination. So this is a little bit of conflating the issue, but it's also, you know, you look at the defense and you're like, all right, I see why you're making the argument in this case, because it seems like a whole lot of shit was withheld that shouldn't have been.
With these, quote, other materials being destroyed on October 31st, and I think there should be something put in place where we can at least have those documents set aside, not subject yet to any type of disclosure, but set aside for a potential future review.
So, Your Honor, this return or destroy provision, and I just want to make it clear that it is the intention of the District Attorney's Office to comply with the federal court order. We will be returning a set of documents and destroying all extra documents. So, the defendants...
Nope. That part. Nope. Nope. I am jumping and pounding the table. No fucking way you're destroying anything.
Had the ability to make TUI requests, to seek to intervene, and have not. We are confident that we have met our Rule 14 obligations, and I would tell the court, and the other assistant district attorneys who participated would tell the court if they were not confident.
But see, that's the problem. Right there. That is the problem. The bridge, all the bridges have damn near been roasted. So I'm sorry, but for me, your confidence does not assuage my concern. And you can get up there and confidently state that you have done everything and fully complied. Just like others in your office have gotten up and confidently asserted that they have done everything that they needed to do comply. However, we have seen too many occasions within the last 12 months where that has just simply not been the case. So that confident compliance is something that I don't have confidence in.
And again, I think the index will be helpful, and I'm able to provide that index today.
Okay, I think what I will do is, in an abundance of caution, and against my better judgment, because I really don't want to have another hearing in this, but I will schedule a time to see anybody who wants to be heard on the issue of the other list sometime next week, after you folks have seen it and have had a week with it, to consider whether you think there's anything that you need to bring to the prosecutor's attention about the things that might be on that other list. You obviously don't have the other list, so you shoot blind right now, but you'll have it today, and you'll be able to come to some sort of conclusion as to whether you think, given the information on that list, you have some reason to believe that it would contain exculpatory information.
Yep. See this. I like this. Give me the list. Give me the list. Give me a hearing, Judge. Give me the list. Give me a little while to review it. Give me a hearing.
Based on the chronologies in your case or whatever else it is.
Step back, yeah, my phone.
Sure.
Just so the record's clear, Mr. Walsh joins in exactly what Attorney Cross said.
Okay.
I'm back here on October 30th. I don't know if that's a good date for the parties. I don't know.
Well, it's certainly a good date for me. I can accommodate you on the 30th, but it's a little bit close to the destroy or return date, I would think.
I can't speak for Attorney Scapiccio. It's really the only date next week I can do. I'm out of state in federal court at the beginning of the week. At least it gets me in here to preserve.
I'm happy to see you on the 30th. How does the 30th seem? Okay, Mr. Cataldo?
If I can't do it, one of my colleagues would be able to stand in for me, so yes.
Okay.
We can do the 30th.
How does that look for you, Attorney Bailey? Okay.
And if we could just approach.
Okay. 30th at 2.
Am I issuing names for anyone, or waive your presence for this?
Could we
On behalf of,
have the position be issued?
Bianca Gentile,
Go ahead, Mr. Cataldo.
on behalf of Bianca Gentile, I'm asking that her appearance be waived on the 30th.
All right, we will waive her appearance.
Thank you.
All defendants' presence waived?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All defendants' presence will be waived for the hearing on the 30th.
And Your Honor, there are a couple of other cases that we just need to finish the paperwork on. Can we do that administratively for the motion for the protective order and the court order?
Yeah, get them to us, and we'll.
All right, so they're doing that. But so, what were we talking about? Here's the notice that was filed. Notice of discoverable material. And this comes courtesy of Ted Daniel, Boston 25. So, pursuant to the orders, blah, 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 blah. Cell phone ruling is the communications, including the content, call durations, times, numbers involved, or the personal cell phone from the date of the charged murder in the King matter to the date of the indictments. The Commonwealth shall promptly produce any other data from the phone that constitutes investigative materials or is favorable to the defense within the meaning of Rule 14. The obligation, and then this is the clarifying language. The obligation to produce any other data that constitutes investigative materials or is favorable to the defense is not limited to a particular date range. So basically just saying, y'all have it. If it's favorable to the defense, it gets produced. So then they're ordered to search the cell phone extraction, except for those identify the privilege log. Commonwealth says that they have the cell phone. The extraction has occurred and the phone was returned to Proctor, and the Proctor's counsel provided a document entitled privilege log to the court ordered due date by September 26th. The extraction has yielded hundreds of thousands of items, some of which are dated as far back as 2013. The volume of items was unexpectedly larger than the representations of Proctor's counsel regarding the cell phone. Proctor's counsel on July 25th, 2025 and August 12th, 2025 filed a motion and amended motion for clarification, which noted that Proctor changed phones in February of 2024, did not preserve his old phone, and after activating his new phone in February 2024, used an auto-delete function, deleting the contents of his phone every 30 days. Counsel therefore proffered, regardless of the timeframes for the court's order to be clarified, it is unlikely that Mr. Proctor has any relevant information in his possession concerning this case. Turns out that is not the truth. The review is underway, but it's taking a lot longer than we would anticipate. We need more time. That is what happened. Now, this was filed. When was it filed? Filed October 15th. So October 15th, that gets filed. And then, excuse me, my word, I apologize. That came out of nowhere. I'm sorry for that being loud. Completely caught me off guard. I apologize. That gets filed, and then within mere minutes/days, this development.
I'm investigative reporter Ted Daniel. The former state trooper fired after the Karen Reed investigation won't be getting his job back. Michael Proctor is dropping his appeal. Proctor signed this one-page document over the weekend. It says, "This notice confirms the withdrawal of my appeal, and I exercise my right to sign this form of my own free will." Proctor's lawyer will not say why he dropped his appeal, but just days earlier, the Norfolk County DA's office began alerting defendants in murder cases Proctor worked about new text messages and videos found on his personal cell phone. According to a court filing, an extraction of that phone has yielded hundreds of thousands of items, some of which are dated as far back as 2013. The filing says some of those items are discoverable or relevant to defendants awaiting trial. As you may remember, Proctor's texts about Karen Reed played a big role in her defense. The DA's office has requested
So that's just recapping. The DA's office requests more time.
More time to sort through Proctor's phone data, saying that won't be completed until at least the end of the week. A state police spokesperson tells me they have no comment at this time.
So appeal is withdrawn. And then some of you were noting that the police union has unanimously withdrawn their support. At least that was what was reported. as of October 22nd, Massachusetts State Police Union ended support for Michael Proctor appeal before the withdrawal. The decision by former Massachusetts State Trooper Michael Proctor to withdraw his appeal of his termination came after the union representing troopers voted to pull its support of the appeal just days before scheduled hearings. The executive board of the State Police Association of Massachusetts, which previously supported the appeal, voted unanimously to sever all support for his appeal after the discovery of new evidence on his personal cell phone. You know, it only took how long? Like, it only took how long? The union rep, the president, Brian Williams, comes out in a statement and says, "We hope this decisive move closes a deeply embarrassing chapter in state police history." It would have closed the chapter if you had made the move back when it was discovered that he said the things he said in the text messages. Like, you would have gained a lot of credibility had you not backed the appeal when it was discovered that he had all that stuff on his personal effing device. And then this news. So here's how the union gets caught doing a stupid. Union's first statement: the decision to terminate was guided by expedience, the relentless drumbeat of conspiracy theorists, and the intense glare of the media spotlight. Sadly, in the end, it was easier for the department to terminate Michael Proctor than it was for them to stand tall and face the critics. That is the same person, Brian Williams, the very same person, said that in March. So 7 months ago, that same person said that. Now, 7 months later, we hope this decisive move closes a deeply embarrassing chapter in state police history. It really doesn't help. Now, what happened more recently? Why? Well, what else has been going on? Because there was a filing that took place, I believe, today. And it was this. Hang on, let me get rid of the nothing but bet. We don't need to see the cheesy names. Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Yep, filed today. So the motion for protective order regarding information derived from review of extraction of former Massachusetts State Police Trooper's personal phone. Commonwealth moves pursuant to Massachusetts Criminal Procedure Rule 14.2G that dissemination from an extraction of former Trooper Michael Proctor's personal cell phone be restricted as grounds for the motion. On June 17, 2025, this court, in specific cases, allowed in part defense motions for discovery of former Proctor's cell phone. We're just going to call him Proctor's cell phone. The order included that the Commonwealth produce communications from the dates of the charged offenses to the dates that indictments issued, and produce any other data from Proctor's personal cell phone that constitutes investigative materials or is favorable to the defense within the meaning of the rule. The court further ordered that the Commonwealth may move for an appropriate protective orders for the court's review prior to producing the items and information, and that, quote, defense counsel shall not show or provide the communications produced pursuant to this order to anyone else except the defense counsel may show but not give them to the defense in this case, end quote. Upon filing of a motion, an amended motion for clarification by Proctor's counsel on August 13th, the court clarified that, quote, the obligation to produce any other data that constitutes investigative materials or is favorable to defense is not limited to a particular date range, end quote, and that the former trooper had a legitimate interest in protecting attorney-client or spousal communication. The court issued further orders about delivery and extraction of the phone, the opportunity for the former trooper's counsel to submit a privilege log, and a timeline for the Commonwealth to produce discoverable materials. Under Massachusetts law, all items and information favorable to the defendant within the possession, custody, or control of a prosecutor, prosecuting office, or prosecution team must be disclosed. Review of the personal cell phone is ongoing. At this time, pursuant to Rule 14, the Commonwealth is producing text chats, audio files, and video files, which span many years. one text chat contains, one text chat that is produced. So this is the clarification. This is a text communication that has been produced. Keep in mind, the Commonwealth has not produced things that were in the privilege log. Okay? So privilege log is the first thing that's up. Commonwealth then produces things that are not in the privilege log. Rather, they only produce things that are what was the quote? Where is it? So, of the things being produced, it is this magic language. Any other data? Ooh, why did that happen? I don't mean to do that. Here. I want to highlight. Make it a highlighter. Why is it dark? No. I want to highlight color. There we go. Any other data that constitutes investigative materials or is favorable to the defense. So, with that in mind, what is being produced must fall into one of those two camps, investigative materials or favorable to the defense. This is what has everyone up in arms today. One text chat contains highly sensitive information, including images of intimate body parts of people not participating in the chat. So, who is that? Who is that? Why are intimate body parts of someone not participating in the chat? Well, in the chat. And what intimate body parts are there? Screenshots of Facebook posts by non-participants, images of non-participants, full phone numbers and or personal email addresses of the text chain participants, and the name of sexual assault and the name of a sexual assault victim. On his personal cell phone. Can we just what the hell? Why? Like, there's no way to phrase that right. This is, by the way, a lawyer trying to dumb this down to being very simple or very, very, like, it's not supposed to be descriptive. Contains highly sensitive information, including images of intimate body parts of people not participating in the chat. So who was that? Witness, victim, perpetrator, defendant, who? Screenshots of Facebook posts by non-participants. So we're screenshotting other people's Facebook and we're sending them to friends. All right, that sounds less nefarious unless it's within that category of investigative material or helpful. Images of non-participants. I mean, that could be something as simple as Yannetti getting exchanged back and forth. Like a screenshot of him, like when they're like this asshole. Full phone numbers and or personal email addresses of the participants. Yeah, you don't want that out. Like, that's not really cool. And the name of a sexual assault victim. Why is that being discussed in a chat or a text message exchange on his personal cell phone? Personal cell phone. So they want a protective order to basically protect the privacy interests of the other individuals. And it seems to me that there's good cause to enter that, because the non-participants, they have an interest in not having their identifying information released to anybody else, as is whoever's intimate body parts are displayed. So there's good cause to limit the dissemination to one copy. Copying be prohibited. Materials be shown but not provided to defendant. Materials will be provided in electronic format with text chains, including embedded audio files, where the text chain includes the name of a sexual assault victim. The Commonwealth requests to be allowed to omit the electronic version of the messages that include the victim's name from the electronic production so as to redact the name and provide it as a PDF. So let us take that one text out, put it into a PDF, and redact out that name. So please enter this protective order, and then we can file a motion to modify it in the future if we need to. Scarpiccio has a hell of a signature. Look at that thing. That's wild. Whoa. Look at that. That's a lot. Okay. So the order gets entered. It says, do not share with anybody. I am entering this order. Fuck around and find out. I mean, I go back to the offending paragraph. And then I also go back to what was disclosed in the notice that was filed by the Commonwealth of, hey, we are sending these communications to relevant authorities. It is a crime. It is a crime in almost every jurisdiction. More recently, I know it is in Virginia. In Virginia, it is a crime to send via digital communication an image of someone either in the nude or not clothed, their intimate parts or intimate setting, via electronic communication to another person without the individual's consent. I would imagine that if on Michael Proctor's personal cell phone, there is an image that would constitute investigative materials or Brady material, exculpatory, I would imagine that if among those materials is a photograph of someone depicting intimate body parts, and that is sent to a text chain to anybody, it's a big fucking problem. And I would very much expect, I mean, that's the issue. Like, we want people prosecuted when they do that in any occasion. And I mean, especially when an individual sits in a position of power and trust, like a state trooper. If we discover that they, in that position of power and trust, abuse that power and trust in a fashion like that, if that is the case, then there better be fucking charges. There better be charges coming, because I cannot see how you can justify not charging a individual who was in that position of authority and abused that authority to that extent, if that's the case. And not only that, but the other thing is, it doesn't even say in this message that Proctor was the one who may have sent the body part or the images or the intimate images. Oh, images, more than one. There. It doesn't even just say image. It says more than one. Whereas it actually says the name of a sexual assault victim as being one, singular, the name of a sexual assault victim. It actually says images, more than one, of intimate body parts. So if it was Proctor, charges. If it wasn't Proctor, charges. Whoever was doing it. I mean, it's possible. Like what if it's an autopsy photo? It is possible. What the fuck is an autopsy photo doing on his personal cell phone being circulated outside of his work phone? I don't think that makes it any better, to be honest. Why is there an autopsy photo on his phone? Why are there hundreds of thousands of messages that constitute investigative materials on his phone, personal phone? I mean, it doesn't, this is, I'm going to wait and see, and we're just going to wait. Because this is not, if you're reading the tea leaves, there is something working its way through various jurisdictions for determination of what, with what and whom is being charged. It's pretty awful. Yeah, this one. Remember when it was images of Kobe being circulated after the helicopter crash? I do. And I also remember that there was a very, very, very large civil suit that settled for millions and millions of dollars as a result of that. And a lot of people got fired for it too. You are not allowed to do that. It is not permitted. So, like I said, you know what? Maybe Michael Proctor should be forced to take the what is it, the cleanse we read on a daily basis. That should be his punishment. Every day. For I don't know, ever. So we're gonna wait and see if there's anything else, but that was filed by the prosecutor. And that was filed by the Commonwealth. So you want to see an entity that used to hold someone in such high regard and backed him to the fullest extent that they possibly could, has now decided that the bus could not be moving faster and could not be big enough that they will throw him in front of. Pretty wild, right? All right. That's what we have for stories today. Stay tuned on the Proctor stuff. I'm pretty sure that if something happens there, we will absolutely be seeing the news about it. Katsuko, Rob, did you hear about the Washington man arrested for impersonating a cop? He was even involved at the scenes. Coworker told me and sounded like a legal headache. Oh no. Washington man arrested impersonating cop. Oh my God. Okay. So this is a real thing. Is this a cleanse? This is kind of a cleanse. We should swoop to this, right? Swoop to this. We're swooping. Shay, warning, swooping in 5, 4, 3, 2.
At 6, the investigation of a man accused of impersonating a police officer in Bremerton has expanded to Seattle. Good evening, I'm Steve Solis.
And I'm Mary Nam. Police say Michael Scaletta recorded video of himself responding with Seattle firefighters to a call. KOUNSEL's Jeremy Harris is live in Belltown with his update for us, and this case received a lot of attention, Jeremy.
Yeah, we first heard about the allegations against Michael Scaletta when Bremerton police put the word out asking if anybody else had seen him impersonating a police officer. We now know that they received a lot of tips, including someone who gave them a video of Scaletta allegedly responding with Seattle firefighters to a report of a death here in Belltown and giving those
How does that happen? How does that happen?
firefighters instructions to get away from the body. But he is not a police officer. He's a convicted felon who investigators say went to extensive lengths to impersonate an officer.
But why? Why? Why?
It looks and sounds like a police car.
No. He went Alex Murdoch on this. What?
And he looked like a police officer. But charges say this was all pretend. Michael Scaletta is facing felony charges of impersonating an officer.
Are these serious charges or?
2 felonies.
2 felonies.
Are these serious charges?
what are there 2 felonies for?
New videos obtained by Como News show what happened after Scoletta's arrest in September in Bremerton. A camera mounted in a patrol car recorded Scaletta asking the officer what would happen when he's booked into jail. The officer presses Scaletta, who allegedly told officers he was a detective for Edmonds Police and had been a cop for decades.
Oh my God.
30 years and you don't know how jail booking works?
Well, no, it's different out here because, like, no, I'm asking what are...
You work for Edmonds, right?
Scaletta said he's worried about having a withdrawal.
I don't want to go through withdrawals, or you know, like, because, you know, that was, like, the scariest moment of my life, you know. But I'm not, like, an addict or, like, somebody like that. Like, I made the choice. I wanted to get off of it.
You're high.
You think I'm high?
I think you're high.
Well, yeah, his eyes are blinking like a mile a fucking minute.
Okay. That's your opinion, man.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Scaletta, my theory is that this whole pretend to be a cop thing down in Salvation Army is an opportunity for you to seize drugs from the local transient people.
Police say they were flooded with tips about Scaletta after his arrest was made public, including someone who provided them with this video that police say was recorded by Scaletta when he responded to a death in Seattle in June. Investigators say Scaletta instructed Seattle firefighters to stop their work and close the trunk of the car. Police say they received numerous calls from those even close to Scaletta who say he was passing himself off as a police officer, which he denied.
What?
Holy shit.
Yep.
And, all right, okay. What the?
So what happened with this?
Well, okay.
Here in Seattle, I've reached out to Seattle police about it. They got back to me, said they have never dealt with Mr. Scaletta. Reached out to Seattle Fire asking if they took any reports of who this man was giving those.
No, Seattle police would actually have to stop people and do something in order to have an encounter. It was bad. It was a little bit of a joke, maybe a little bit. Seattle's just fucking crazy right now. It's just wild.
Firefighters' instructions, and they have not gotten back to me yet. I've also reached out to Scaletta himself and not heard back. Reporting live in Seattle, Jeremy Harris, Como News.
Jeremy, the videos are so disturbing, especially the interaction with the firefighters. You mentioned that he...
Yeah. Let me see. Telling firefighters to get away from a body and then closing the trunk seems to be interfering with the crime scene, doesn't it? A little bit, maybe. Kind of strange. So that was a side quest. All right. Thank you, Katsuko. That was worth the adventure. We just saw someone that was clearly tripping balls, and they very much thought they were a cop. I mean, not tripping; they were tweaking. That was something else. Baby, thanks. You don't have to thank me for giving you the warning. Bop it. Maturity is highly overrated. It is, unequivocally. Although I would expect people that are cops or acting like cops to be more mature than that. Cindy Collins, thank you for gifting memberships. Steve A, I'd want to see a third party. So I want to see, third party. So this check. With regard to the cell phone information, I would too. I just don't know that we're going to get there. Apocalypse DOA, main tumor has shrunk by about 20%. Fuck cancer. Fuck cancer. And the horse you rode in on. Absolutely and unequivocally. PJ Wolfweimers, thumbs up. Back to you. PJ. Shay B, thank you again. Guy was probably arrested and was so amazed by them that he pretended to be one. I don't know what to say about that. That was something else. That's That's a whole thing. Oh, it shows his full time in the back seat of the squad car. I might have to link this. It shows the full, all of it.
Mr. Scaletta, what's the last four of your social security?
Look at his eyes.
I'll roll the windows down.
Okay, yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not.
No, it's no problem.
Don't take it the wrong way. I just.
Okay, your charges today are going to be criminal impersonation in the second degree and unlawful possession of.
I can't. I'm hearing it, Paris. I'm just trying to hear what you
Your
said.
charges today.
Don't get over excited when you hear this. So, I had cancer in 2014.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'm going to take everyone else's recommendation. Robbing the ADR parade. Check out the behavior panel on the fake cop. I will. Jane, send me an email, lawandlumber@gmail.com, and I can send you the address for where you should send it. So send me an email, lawandlumber@gmail.com, and I will send you the address. Thank you. That's very, very kind of you. Yeah, everyone's saying behavior panel has the video on him. Please go check that out, because I imagine it's pretty wild to see that breakdown of all of that. Shay B, what's going to happen to the defendants in the Proctor's cases? I mean, it varies. The materials we get turned over, it's Brady material like anything else. So it'll get used in cross-examination. It will get used where it's appropriate. It's not going to result in just acquittals across the board. Just because a cop does stupid shit doesn't mean that everything about the investigation needs to be thrown out. I mean, we'll see. It's going to be a case-by-case basis, and it's going to be very, very specific to each individual case. It's going to vary based on how much Proctor was involved, what Proctor's conduct was in that case, whether the bad behavior overlapped with it. I mean, it really is going to be entirely variable. So you just have to see what each one of these defendants and the defense counsel does when they get a handle on materials. It's going to be pretty interesting. A 2.5-hour body camera of his interview, arrest, and sitting in the car. Okay, that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun indeed. All right, folks, that's going to be it for us this evening. 3 hours, 37 minutes. Not too bad. Thank you very much for sticking with us. We covered a bunch of stories, talked a whole lot, went through the a little bit of craziness, and learned a little bit about gambling that I don't know that we knew beforehand. So hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking it out. Before you leave, please hit the like button. Please also consider subscribing. Like I said, 30-40% of you are not subscribed, so it's really easy. Just click the button. Doesn't sign you up for anything. You're just subscribed. Just helps the channel. So thank you very much. If you're doing something this weekend, get outside, get in the shop, go make something. You'll feel better. Make a little bit of chaos, make a little bit of neat, have a little bit of fun. Hug the ones you love. For those of you celebrating birthdays, happy birthday to you. And like I said, enjoy a very pleasant October weekend. I will not be streaming next Friday. Just remembered. Next Friday is Halloween. There are things that I get to partake in that are very, very fun as an adult with young children Halloween. Namely trick-or-treating and watching them dress up in costumes and eating way too much candy. So I'm going to be doing that next week. Thank you guys. I will be back the week following that. Absolutely. We'll have plenty to catch up on and lots to do. So I just keep tuned. I'll post notifications of when we're streaming. Okay. Thanks guys for tuning in, and have a great weekend, and I'll catch you next time. Bye guys.